Not only has he transmigrated into a top-level boss, but he can even return to Earth. How invincible is he exactly? The chicken he raises is an ancient golden phoenix. The carp in his pond is a primordial golden dragon. Even his kitchen knife is beyond an artifact-level weapon. Even the entire house is filled with artifacts. What's even more outrageous is, his small courtyard is filled with the grand principles of the Tao. What's even more outrageous is that, after eating his stir-fried pork, people unexpectedly break through their realms one after another. Yet he knows nothing about any of this. He has always thought of himself as an ordinary person. His name is Chen Pingyan. He has been in this world of cultivation for 5 years. Although I have a system, I can't get stronger until I complete 1,000 tasks. The tasks are all trivial things in life. The rewards are all daily necessities. Like the rooster the system gave me. The koi the system gave me. Just thinking about these dull and boring tasks made him so angry that he smashed the cup the system gave him to pieces. Just as he sighed and sat down, the system issued a new task. Chen Pingyan furrowed his brows. Could it be another task about resolving marital discord? Suddenly a message appeared on the panel. Join the Kashin sect. He immediately spit out his tea. How could they let a mere mortal join the Kashin sect? Isn't this a trap? But then he thought to himself, could it be that the system is finally going to give me a way to become stronger? However, the system prompted, man, strengthen yourself. Time limit 3 months. If not completed, the host will be terminated. He sighed helplessly. I knew it, it's still the same as always. But he had long gotten used to it. Over the past 5 years, he had done everything from assisting with childbirth to making toys for children. He had handled all sorts of strange tasks. How could a simple task of joining the mountain sect be a problem? There was no way he couldn't handle it. The next day he set out, but he didn't know where the mountain sect was. The system didn't provide any coordinates. Anyway, he wasn't expecting anything. Lost, he could only sit down and rest for a while. Just as he was thinking about how to find clues, a beautiful woman suddenly screamed and fell from the sky. Chen Pingyan immediately ran over to catch her, but he missed. The beautiful woman crashed in the ground, making a big crater. Just as Chen Pingyan wondered how she fell from the sky, the beautiful woman opened her eyes. She saw a man poking her with a small stick. She sat up abruptly, vigilantly staring at the man before her. But the next second her expression changed drastically. Immediately she knelt before him. Please, senior, save me. Just as Chen Pingyan was completely bewildered, a group of small gagas surrounded them. Chen Pingyan immediately became nervous. He guessed that this woman was most likely being chased by this group of people, so he quietly urged her to flee for her life. The woman gave him a pitiful, pleading look, but Chen Pingyan thought to himself, being just an ordinary mortal, how could he possibly fight against so many cultivators? At that moment, all the little gagas simultaneously knelt before him. The leader cautiously said, Senior, if we have disturbed you, please forgive us. Chen Pingyan was completely dumbfounded. Do all you cultivators like to kneel? Meanwhile, the chickens in his yard began to speak. Master, we don't know when you'll be back. I clearly am a phoenix, but I've turned into a mud chicken. I really envy the kitchen knife being taken out by the owner. The koi in the pond are also complaining. Yeah, I've already transformed into a dragon, yet I'm still stuck in this pit. Even the peach tree is making sounds. That kitchen knife keeps shouting that it's already starving and itching to chop someone. Will I be free? The hen confidently smiled. Rest assured, without the master's command, he absolutely wouldn't dare. The scene returns to the beautiful woman. She had just discovered the terrifying aspects of Chen Pingyan, only then daring to ask him for help. These young ones are kneeling on the ground, their faces ashen, because the great Tao around Chen Pingyan's body lingers, and the invisible pressure he emanates is deadly. Just a glance from him, wasn't it almost crush their souls? From their perspective, when Chen Pingyan first arrived, they were so terrified that their souls nearly left their bodies. Senior, if you have any instructions, please let us know. If you think we dislike you, we'll leave right away. Chen Pingyan looked embarrassed. Do I look like a street tough? Suddenly he realized, these people are actually good. They only acted against the young girl because of orders from above. That's why they used this mortal to make a point. He tried to say something. You all can leave. As soon as the words were spoken, Xiao Gag, feeling as if saved from a great peril, turned and fled. A beautiful woman immediately rushed into his arms. I am Mirang. I owe you my life, senior. Chen Pingyan awkwardly explained that he was just a mortal. Mirangshu looked puzzled. How could a mere mortal possess such an aura of Tao and rhythm? It directly scared off the 4 Golden Core experts. But experts must have their reasons. So she pretended to understand and played along. That's right. Senior is indeed just a mortal. The two of them conversed. Upon learning that Mirangshu was the saintess of the Kashin sect, Chen Pingyan lied, claiming he happened to have business at the Kashin sect. Mirangshu, excited, expressed that she would follow his arrangements. Just as they were about to set off, the two of them looked at each other expectantly. They both thought the other was a powerful ally. Each thought the other could instantly fly them back to the Kashan sect. Chen Pingyan could only awkwardly explain that he could only walk. Murangshu quickly understood and agreed to walk with him. Half a day later, they rested by a mountain spring. Murangshu took the opportunity to cultivate. Chenping set up a fire to cook. Murangshu was practicing a water-based technique. She had been comprehending the way of water for months. Yet, she still couldn't break through. She had just broken through but failed again. Chenping was quite depressed at this moment. He thought he could be taken to Mount Kaisek by flying, but he still had to walk there step by step. Suddenly, Murangshu's voice sounded behind him. "Senior, I have something to ask for your help." This man just wants to join the sect, but the sect master directly offered him a position. He just said one word, "but," and it made the sect master's daughter break through her realm. It just happened recently. Chenping could tell that Murangshu was about to ask something. It was something related to water. Murangshu was shocked beyond belief. She never expected that the senior would say such a thing. "I admire you, senior." Chenping was at a loss for words. It turned out he thought the woman in front of him had soaked her clothes. He was unsure if it was appropriate for him to help dry them. He instinctively glanced at Murangshu's hips. He muttered, but unexpectedly Murangshu measured it as Bigu. She thought, not only did the senior notice I'm practicing water-based techniques, but he also knows I'm stuck at the peak of Bigu. She begged Chenping to guide her. Chenping was on the verge of tears. "I'm just an ordinary person. Why are you asking me about cultivation? What do I know?" He could only hand her a cup of hot water, hoping it would calm her down. Just as the tea entered her mouth, she suddenly froze. It turned out the senior was subtly hinting at her. It's not about observing water to gain insight, but about drinking water to gain insight. In the blink of an eye, Murangshu finally succeeded in her breakthrough. She immediately knelt to Chenping to thank him for his guidance. Chenping was stunned again. "What just happened?" "I didn't do anything." Soon the two of them finally arrived at Kashin sect. Entering the sect, Chenping couldn't help but feel emotional. This truly is a grand sect, so impressive. But with Miss Murong pulling some strings, joining the sect has become much easier. Murangshu quickly explained the situation to her father. Murong Yenhai found it utterly unbelievable. The sect leader of the Illusion Moon sect, Chang Qingshan, also thought it was a joke. Murangshu pouted angrily when they didn't believe her. She said, "The person is right outside. Just take a look and you'll know." Murong Yenhai and Chang Qingshan exchanged a few words. Then they took Murangshu to meet this legendary expert. As soon as Murong Yenhai saw Chenping, he was stunned, because in his eyes, the Tao principles centered around Chenping had already filled the surrounding space. Chenping guessed who was approaching. It should be the Grand Master of Mount Koyama sect. He intended to show proper respect by addressing him as senior. But before he could speak, Murong Yenhai performed a deep bow. "I didn't know you, senior, would grace us with your presence. My apologies for not having greeted you properly." Chenping felt a little overwhelmed. "Why am I the senior?" So he explained that he's just an ordinary person. Murangshu quickly reminded her father. "A senior is someone who cultivates the heart as a mortal. Don't mention too much about cultivation. Otherwise you might anger the senior." But he just couldn't see this person as a mortal. After all, the highest mortal realm is the Great Ascension. His body wasn't surrounded by the principles and rhymes of the Tao. Upon learning that Chenping wanted to join their sect, Murong Yenhai actually refused, because he wanted to abdicate and directly make Chenping the sect master. Chenping only thought this person must be crazy, so he refused with a wave of his hand. Murong Yenhai was startled. He concluded that Chenping thought the position wasn't good enough, so he cleared his throat twice. "Since that's the case, then I won't stand on ceremony." Chenping said he wouldn't stand on ceremony, but his heart was actually pounding like crazy. He thought to himself, wouldn't they be trying to chase me away? The next second, Murong Yenhai said he wanted to be the ancestor of the Kyo Shan sect. Upon hearing this, Chenping was speechless to the extreme. Is it always this difficult to communicate with cultivators? Although he couldn't cultivate, a protector of the mountain ancestor was the highest authority of the sect. He was just a mere mortal. He might not even qualify to be a servant, yet they want him to be the ancestor. He could only think of a way to persuade them. But before he could speak, Murong Yenhai made a decision. Then he prepared to take him to the hall for a talk. Murangshu quietly reminded her father that Chang Qingshan was still in the hall. Murong Yenhai felt a sudden fear. To prevent Chang Qingshan from being as impolite as he had been, he quickly ran towards the hall. Seeing this, Chenping suddenly asked, "Is your father in a hurry?" Murong awkwardly replied, "Probably, yes." Chang Qingshan was currently playing with a small wooden ball. Murong Yenhai suddenly slammed the door open. Then, he quickly recounted what had just happened in double time. Chang Qingshan listened with a head full of questions. He thought this brother had also been cheated. He was furious and about to go check again. He had just stepped out the door, when his pupils suddenly dilated. He saw that the man before him was surrounded by flowing Tao energy, filled with the principles of the Tao. With a thud, he knelt down directly, knocking his head 3 times. "Ha! I didn't know a senior like you would grace us with your presence. My apologies for not greeting you properly." That old fox Murong Yenhai is secretly pleased. while Zhang Qingshan is inwardly shocked and amazed. What unbelievable luck that old man Yunhai has. He actually managed to win over such a being. Chen Ping'an is dumbfounded again. I wonder why these cultivators are so fond of kneeling. Is this their custom between them? Just as Chen Ping'an was about to kneel as well, Zhang Qingshan and Murong-Shu quickly stopped him. At that moment, Zhang Qingshan's small wooden ball suddenly fell and rolled to Chen Ping'an's feet. He picked it up and asked where they had gotten this trinket. Zhang Qingshan explained that it was something his Huanyu sect disciple had found by chance, but neither he nor Murong Yunhai could open it, even with their combined efforts. It's certain that there are treasures hidden inside. Chen Ping'an gave an awkward smile. He said it's just food inside. As soon as these words were spoken, the two old men were once again shocked. Senior, can your self-lighting ability see inside? Chen Ping'an tossed the wooden ball and laughed. I don't have that ability. This thing is something I made myself. Actually, this is the toy he made for the child. The wooden ball is made with a Lubin lock. It has a special way to open. But now the mechanism seems to be broken. He can only find another way to open it. This man is not only surrounded by the great Tao himself, but even the rooster he keeps, and the fish pond in his yard. The peach trees he planted were surrounded by an ethereal aura. The moment he casually drew the kitchen knife, Murong and his daughter seemed to have their throats slit in an instant. Both were shocked beyond measure. Murong Yunhai even cried out in disbelief. With such power, even the rumored immortal weapons couldn't possibly reach this level. Could that knife be an artifact beyond legend? When the cleaver landed on the wooden ball, Zhang Qingshan was even more terrified. Could this be a clash between laws? But in Chen Ping'an's eyes, it was just cutting something. He turned his head to look. Strangely, the three of them had all stayed far away. Then he handed the wooden ball to Murong-Su. Tell her it's candy, she can eat it. However, Murong-Su discovered that the candy's spiritual energy was unusually strong. She immediately swallowed the candy in one gulp. Immediately afterwards, she felt a refreshing sensation from the inside out. She actually leveled up. She directly broke through from the 1st to the 10th level of Golden Core stage. Excitedly, she grasped Chen Ping'an's hand. Senior, I really don't know how to repay you. You not only saved my life and guided me to break through, but now you reoffer me such an opportunity. May I offer myself in return? Hearing the words offer myself in return, Chen Ping'an's face immediately turned red. He really could understand how such a beautiful woman would want to marry him over a piece of candy. He thought this woman was either crazy or had a mental problem, so he politely declined Murong-Shu's good intentions, but Murong Yunhai said that offering oneself was the best way to repay her. Chen Ping'an really had no choice. He reluctantly explained that he was just an ordinary man. He couldn't let a single candy delay her future. But Murong-Shu still refused to give up. She even begged Chen Ping'an to take her as a maid. She looked at him with a pitiful, hopeful gaze. Chen Ping'an was almost unable to handle it. But Murong Yunhai greatly admired his daughter's actions. At this moment, Zhang Qingshan was not pleased. Didn't we agree that Xiao Su would be my daughter-in-law? Now you're not stopping it and even look quite pleased, huh? Murong Yunhai looked completely pleased. If you're capable, go ahead and compete with the senior. It's simply unimaginable not to cling to such a big shot. Moreover, it's Xiao Su who's fallen for him herself. Zhang Qingshan was left speechless in anger. Suddenly an idea struck him. What if his own son could offer himself? Wouldn't that mean he could also cling to a big shot? Chen Ping'an suddenly felt a chill down his back. I don't know what this old guy is thinking. Reluctantly he agreed to Murong-Shu's request. Murong-Shu immediately excitedly clung to him. Seeing that Chen Ping'an was about to lose control, the system interface suddenly popped up, distracting him. The task of joining the Kaoshin sect was finally completed. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Murong Yunhai, Chen Ping'an suddenly remembered how difficult it was to return home, so he wanted to ask them to fly him back. In the blink of an eye, Chen Ping'an was brought back to his courtyard. He suddenly sighed. Murong Yunhai thought it was because he felt the speed was too slow, but in fact Chen Ping'an felt it was too fast. He had completely missed the sensation of flying. However, guest is a guest, so he invited them in for a cup of tea before they left. Murong Yunhai hurriedly began to flatter him. He wanted to arrange a high-quality residence for him in the sect. Chen Ping'an politely declined. He said he preferred the simple life of raising chickens and fish. At this moment, his free-range chickens suddenly stared at a few strangers. Murong Yunhai and the others were instantly shaken to the core. They abruptly stopped in their tracks. Chen Ping'an wondered why they weren't leaving. Murong Yunhai's flustered explanation left him slightly breathless. Chen Ping didn't think much of it. He let them look around the courtyard before going inside to make tea. The group still didn't dare take a step. Their hearts were filled with extreme terror. As Zhang Kun was even more awestruck. He had never seen such a scene in such a large space before, for the courtyard was filled with peach trees enveloped in Taoist principles and rhyme. The fish ponds are shrouded in an aura of mystery and Taoist principles. Almost the entire courtyard is like this, and they could feel a terrifying aura emanating from these things. Just as Murong-Shu was about to collapse, a cough suddenly sounded from inside the house. The oppressive aura around them instantly dissipated. The three of them looked ashen-faced, as if they had just experienced a life-or-death ordeal. Where else could they dare to stay longer? They quickly walked into the house. It turns out that Chen Pingyan had drunk too quickly and choked. When he turned his head and looked, he saw the three men, their faces flushed and breathing heavily. He wondered, could they have been exercising in the yard? He was full of confusion, unable to understand how they could be so tired. Suddenly, the phrase kidney deficiency appeared in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was so he sprinkled some goji berries into the tea. The male lead simply brewed some goji berry tea. The three people present merely smelled the tea's fragrance. Their spiritual roots surprisingly improved by 1 level. Merangshu was extremely shocked, because the level of one's spiritual root determines the speed and purity of spiritual energy absorption. She didn't dare to think more about it and quickly drank it down. Chen Pingyan was confused by their expressions. What? Isn't it good? The few of them quickly finished the goji berry tea. Then the three of them spoke in unison. Senior, I want... This really confirmed what Chen Pingyan had thought in his heart. Their bodies were indeed very weak, so the three of them drank all the water at Chen Pingyan's house. They were almost drunk on tea but still insisted on drinking more. Chen Pingyan helplessly explained that all the water in the house was gone. Zhang Qingshan immediately took out a large bag of water from his storage ring. This immediately enraged Chen Pingyan, who shouted, "Get out of here!" Chen Pingyan then saw them out the door. He watched as they walked away. He let out a sigh of relief. He could finally go to the town to buy groceries. Meanwhile, the ancestor of the mountain sect, Murong Gongjing, was at the critical moment of breaking through his bottleneck. Suddenly a voice came. "You're back." Murong Gong immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His state of enlightenment was instantly broken. Murong Yanhai had wanted to tell him some good news, but seeing his father's seemingly furious appearance, he stopped. The next second, Murong Gong drew his sword, bursting forth with a powerful aura. Next, it's a heartbreaking scene of a father beating his son. Even Murong Shu didn't dare to step forward to stop it. It wasn't until Murong Yanhai shouted "Father" that Murong Gong stopped his hand. Then he quickly told him everything about Chen Pingyan. Seeing that his father didn't believe him, Murong Yanhai bet him 10,000 spirit stones. Zhang Qingshan also joined in and bet 10,000 spirit stones. I heard that my granddaughter is also betting 1,000 spirit stones. Murong Gong suddenly felt a bit guilty. It really feels like it could be true. Murong Yanhai hummed proudly. "What? Are you scared now?" Murong Gong threw a big slap at him. "No respect, none at all? Lead the way quickly." Soon they arrived again at Chen Pingyan's small courtyard. Old Master Murong scoffed disdainfully. Murong Shu quickly reminded her grandfather to be careful with his words. Murong Yanhai also chimed in with a reminder, but this incredibly formidable old man still didn't take it to heart. The moment he stepped into the courtyard, he involuntarily knelt down. His mind was in turmoil. The sheer pressure made it impossible for him to move a single inch. At that moment, a terrifying aura shot out from the room. It was a man, incredibly handsome and muscular, charging out. The local thug immediately shouted, "Stop, kitchen knife!" Only then did Knife Lord stop his hand. Murong Yanhai didn't expect that this person was actually the senior's knife. Murong Gong almost wet himself in fear. Knife Master pointed at Murong Gong, looking impatient. "Phoenix, this old man clearly isn't a good person, and I've never seen him before. It should be fine to slash him a few times." Hearing the words Phoenix, Murong Gong was completely stunned. Taji said sternly, "This old man is clearly an idiot. Aren't you afraid you'll become an idiot too if you chop up an idiot?" Hearing this, Dao Yi seemed to find it quite reasonable. He then turned into a streak of light and flew back inside. Murong Gong quickly bowed to Tuji. "Thank you, divine beast. The immense grace is unforgettable for a lifetime." But the country chicken, with its proud look, couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge him. Murong Gong was already frustrated. Little did he know, his son suddenly mentioned that the bet was lost and he had to give spirit stones. Even though he gave his son a good beating to vent his anger, he was still being suffocated by an invisible pressure. He could only kneel on the ground. Thankfully, Murong Shu had been comforting him by his side. Not long after, Chen Pingyan returned with a basket of vegetables. Seeing several familiar figures outside the door, he was at a loss for words. He planned to sneak away. But before he could take a few steps, he was spotted by Murong Shu. "Senior, you're finally back?" Chen Pingyan gave an awkward smile. "Is there anything else? Why are you back so soon?" Murong Shu pointed. "Senior." Having said this, Murong Shu felt embarrassed to continue. Chen Pingyan's scalp tingled. How could the ancestor of the Kashin sect be kneeling in his courtyard? He couldn't afford to offend such a big shot, so he quickly walked over to apologize. Murong Yanhai reminded his father again, "The senior is here. He is surrounded by the Tao and its principles. Remember to keep your expression under control when you see him for the first time." He had just finished speaking when Murong Gong turned his head to look. Before Chen Pingyan could speak, his face instantly changed drastically. This is definitely not just the surroundings. This entire space is filled with the principles and rhythms of the Tao. He immediately kneeled before Chen Pingyan. "Old man Murong Gong pays his respects to you, senior." Chen Ping'an quickly helped him up. Murongong's heart was in shock. The oppressive pressure disappeared. This person really is an immortal. This time even the ancestor is here. Chen Ping'an happily invited them to sit inside. Mu Rongshu and the others instantly lit up with excitement. They were thinking they'd get to drink goji berry tea again. Chen Ping'an naturally knew what they were thinking. He said this time no tea. Invite them for a meal. Listen, it's time to eat. Mu Rongshu has already started imagining the scene of promotion. This man only stir-fried a plate of spicy shrimp. Just the aroma that floated out was enough to make someone break through instantly. Just now, the four old six sat silently around the table. Mu Rongshu and the others each had a sour look on their faces. Murongong's face turned red. He thought it was because he had lost the bet and hadn't given them the spirit stones in time. Murong and I sneered. Do we really care about those spirit stones? We just want to drink goji berry tea. Murongong dismissed it. He was just about to reach for the teapot. The overwhelming pressure from the strong force instantly pushed his head onto the table. Murongong struggled to look at the teapot. He noticed that the teapot was surrounded by a subtle aura. It's actually an immortal artifact. Murong and I chuckled proudly. Since we entered the room, you haven't dared to move at all? Only you would dare to reach out and touch these treasures. Murongong cursed loudly. What a trap. The fork was suddenly pressed down onto the table, until a cough sounded from the kitchen. The pressure on Murongong's body suddenly disappeared. It turned out that Chen Ping'an was frying spicy shrimp. The chili had made him cough. At the same time, a strong fragrance of shrimp wafted out. Zhang Qingshan only took one whiff. It actually broke through in an instant. The three members of the Murong family were initially stunned. Then they began desperately inhaling. Soon the 4 dishes and 1 soup made by Chen Ping'an were brought out. He told them not to be polite. But when he saw their hungry wolf-like expressions, Chen Ping'an suddenly felt a bit regretful. When he turned around to serve the rice, suddenly he had a very bad feeling. Fortunately, he had cooked enough rice this time, thinking it would be enough to fill everyone up. Just as he took the rice out and asked who wanted some, he froze. The 4 idiots had already eaten all the dishes, and shamelessly asked for another bowl of rice. Though Chen Ping'an was angry, he could only hand over the rice. Have immortal cultivators never eaten before? Mu Rongshu doesn't even have a proper eating manner for a girl. In the blink of an eye, her plate was licked clean. Not a single grain of rice was left. Only Murong and his son remained sober. The other 2 had already drunk themselves into a stupor. Chen Ping'an was completely stunned. Are you all reincarnated starving ghosts? Even licking the plates is so smooth. After the meal, Zhang Qingshan has broken through from Yuan Ying stage 8 to Transcending Tribulation stage 5. Old Master Murong has gone from Transcending Tribulation peak to Divine Soul stage 2. Murangshu has gone from Golden Core peak to Yuan Ying stage 5. Murong Yanhai has gone from Yuan Ying stage 8 to Transcending Tribulation stage 5. Old Man Murong was moved to tears. He didn't expect that one meal would show him the road to Dawn Avenue. Immediately he knelt before Chen Ping'an again. Senior, this opportunity is truly a great favor. I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Chen Ping'an looked embarrassed. He thought the opportunity he was talking about was just the monks begging for food. Palali said, Lord Gong, you're joking. A small matter not worth mentioning. But to his surprise, Murongong couldn't help but ask with a shameless face, well, next time when we have some free time, let's have more meals together, senior. Chen Ping'an could no longer tolerate it, and immediately kicked these 4 old scoundrels out of the door. Murong Yanhai couldn't help but complain. How could you say something like that? Isn't that a little shameless? As soon as he finished speaking, he received a hard slap from Murongong. How are you talking to your father? I was just too emotional earlier. I didn't mean to speak improperly. The senior has a broad mind. How could they get angry over something so trivial? In fact, the senior is reminding us that if we keep being so greedy and leveling up without stabilizing our foundation, we'll only gain hollow strength. Upon hearing such nonsense, Murong Yanhai and the 2 old guys almost laughed out loud. Only Murangshu said she had gained new insights. This almost made Murongong lose face. Actually, he was just embarrassed about his nonsense. Just as he was instructing Zhang Qingshan that under no circumstances should he reveal the senior's matters, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind. Qingshan, do not return to the sect. Zhang Qingshan was startled and blurted out his father's voice. Murongong had a serious expression. Your father? Could it be the 1,000-word secret sound? That's right. This is the most urgent communication secret technique of our sect. Once it's used, it means we've encountered an extermination crisis. Zhang Qingshan wasn't wrong. Huan Yu sect has almost been destroyed by this man. Zhang, the old man kneeling on one knee with a sword, is the ancestor of Huan Yu sect Zhang Shifeng. He originally thought that since his son wasn't in the sect, he could avenge him. But Zhang Qingshan suddenly called out to him from behind. The old father spat out a mouthful of blood. Facing his father's rebuke, Zhang Qingshan looked relaxed. It's just a cultivator at the Divine Soul stage. Zhang Shifeng was instantly dumbfounded. The villain also looked disdainfully at Zhang Qingshan. At that moment, Murongong appeared behind him without warning. Before the villain could speak, he was instantly killed by Mirongong. Zhang Shafeng looked shocked. He asked his son who that person was. Zhang Qingshan casually replied, "That's Uncle Murong's practically non-existent real background." Seeing Murongong walk over proudly, Zhang Shafeng quickly asked him what was going on with his cultivation. Murongong pretended to be profound. Well, that's a long story. In fact, he was secretly figuring out how to deceive Zhang Shafeng and win back the spiritual stones he had lost earlier. So he claimed that he had just eaten a meal at the Immortals' place and then broke through. Zhang Shafeng immediately excitedly grabbed his hand. Quick, take me to meet the senior." Murongong never expected this old man to act so unpredictably. Suddenly an extremely powerful spiritual pressure struck. Murongong looked in the direction. It was actually the location of Chen Pingan's residence. He immediately grabbed his best friend's hand. A flash of light passed by. In an instant, the two arrived at the gate of Chen Pingan's small courtyard. How incredibly powerful is this man? Even a casual little hoe he uses for weeding is a divine artifact. Just now, Murongong brought Zhang Shifeng and was about to come to Chen Pingan's place for a meal. Suddenly a huge black hole appeared above the courtyard. This black hole is the entrance to the secret realm. Once it descends, the entire town is nearly destroyed. This kind of secret realm is beyond their ability to resist. At this moment, a golden light burst from the fish pond in the courtyard. A dragon had emerged from within. Then a massive golden dragon was seen spiraling above the courtyard. It suddenly charged toward the black hole. Its mouth clamped onto the black hole, dragging away at great speed. Upon seeing this, Zhang Shafeng was shaken to the core. Murongong, however, remained calm, because he knew there was a phoenix inside. It is said that only the immortal emperor can have a dragon and phoenix as companions. Zhang Shafeng was already beyond shocked. At the same time, a space in the forest twisted. The golden longsword fell out. It turned out that it had been chasing and was forced to flee here. The blade had several cracks on it. Just as it was thinking about going back to seek revenge later, Chen Pingan suddenly walked up to it. He casually picked it up. The golden long sword was about to start cursing, but the next second it was terrified beyond measure, because the man in front of it was enveloped by the laws of Tao. He was radiating an oppressive force no less than that of an immortal emperor. It was so frightened that it nearly cried. He even wondered if he had arrived in the mortal realm. He saw the sword suddenly trembling. Chen Pingan's eyes lit up. It can even move on its own. Could this be a high-grade magic artifact? Maybe it could be sold for a good price. Then he casually tossed it into the bamboo basket. The golden sword felt deeply humiliated. I never thought that a dignified immortal artifact would fall to such a state. But when it discovered that the bamboo basket contained only ordinary herbs, and that this man couldn't discern its level, it realized that this person must be immortal. The Taoist principles and rhythms it had just seen were merely a visual error. This must undoubtedly be the mortal realm. Suddenly a shout came. "Shut up!" And the one scolding it was actually an unremarkable small hoe. Soon Chen Pingan felt the bamboo basket shaking violently. He was full of questions and just took a quick look. The small hoe immediately threatened with the golden sword. "Don't move." The golden sword was so frightened it trembled and didn't dare to act again, because this unremarkable hoe, it's actually a divine artifact with a higher rank than it. On the other side, Murongong and the others were flying toward the black hole on their swords. At that moment, the black hole suddenly emitted a vibration sound. Murongong was shocked and quickly ordered everyone to stop. The next moment, a thick beam of light slanted downward from the black hole. Chen Pingan also noticed this spectacular scene. At this moment, the system interface flickered. Chen Pingan saw it was a new notification. Chen Pingan couldn't help but feel a moment of fear. He thought it was a task to resolve the light pillar, but the system immediately displayed a lottery prompt. Chen Pingan instantly turned his worry into joy. He immediately pressed the lottery button. The lottery item from the eye between the lashes has been drawn. Chen Pingan didn't expect to get a bamboo flute this time. This is much better than what he drew before. Moreover, he had learned to play it in his previous life. Just as he threw the bamboo flute into the bamboo basket, the golden sword suddenly shook violently. What the hell, another divine artifact? Who on earth is this person? What was casually taken out was a divine artifact. Its heart was growing more and more fearful. By the time he got home, it was already evening. Chen Pingan tossed the bamboo basket onto the table and went to take a shower. At this moment, the golden sword was directly scared into questioning life, because the entire house, as far as the eye could see, was filled with divine artifacts. Even the doors, windows, and furniture were artifacts. Even though it had crawled and fought in the immortal realm for thousands of years, I've never seen such a scene before. And the aura emanating from the peach tree outside is even stronger than that of an immortal emperor, not to mention the koi in the pond, and the free-range chickens in the enclosure. They are thousands of times stronger than the immortal emperor's dragons and phoenixes. At this moment, the bamboo flute made a loud noise. How did the master bring this piece of trash back? The little also has a fierce expression. That's right. If I weren't afraid of the master finding out, I'd really want to destroy this ant directly. The little teapot chimed in. I think we should just eliminate it right away. The golden sword, weak and helpless, huddled in the corner and immediately begged for mercy. Esteemed ones, I'm new here and don't know the rules. Please forgive my ignorance, seniors. The mystical light tree outside still hasn't disappeared. Even the Murong Palace can't break through this pillar of light. Just as everyone was at a loss, the light pillar suddenly shook violently, emitting a piercing sound wave. Chen Ping'an, who was fast asleep, was awakened. He turned over and shouted, "It's so. Can someone let me sleep? Who can make this damn secret realm stop?" No sooner had the words left his mouth than the kitchen knife on the chopping board suddenly moved. This flashy arrogant man is Knife Lord. He is also the incarnation of the main character's first-rank divine weapon, the kitchen knife. The reason he revealed his true form, it was because Chen Ping'an was kept awake by the secret realm's sounds. In a blink, a streak of light stopped the light pillar's sound waves. Murangshu thought it was Chen Ping who had acted, but Murongong immediately covered his face. He knew it was the senior's cleaver. The Daoyi cleaver master hadn't expected that the mortal world would have something of such intensity. Even in the immortal realm, such things were rare. But in front of Master Dao, one strike is all it takes. Master Dao reached out with one hand. A red beam of light shot out. In an instant, it shattered the light pillar. The overwhelming pressure immediately swept across the entire area. The people from Murong Palace quickly activated their protective shields. They waited for the residual force to dissipate. A dazzling orb of light falls into the deep pit. Inside the orb lies a young girl. The seal binding her gradually shatters. The girl suddenly opens her eyes, revealing a strange eerie smile. Dai outside is startled. He already senses the girl's presence. The girl transforms into a demonic shadow, letting out a cackling laugh. The three members of the Murong Palace were so frightened they didn't dare to move an inch. When the young girl slowly walked out with her hand stretched from inside, it was completely unexpected by Master Dao. He never imagined that inside would be a demonic girl at the immortal origin realm. Murongong froze entirely. Murangshu was incredibly nervous. Murongong let out a helpless sigh. Because in front of an immortal, they didn't even have the right to escape. At this moment, a faint voice of Dao echoed. "The one below? State your name." Without saying a word, the young girl charged directly at Dao Yi. Dao Yi gathered a formation with his fingers and snorted coldly. "Freeze!" The girl was instantly trapped in midair by the formation. "Just a mere Shenyuan realm. You dare to act arrogant in front of Lord Knife? Even if a trash at the level of an immortal emperor comes, they still have to call me Lord Knife." As soon as these words were spoken, the two old men were once again shocked into a stupor. Lord Knife suddenly pointed at the girl's forehead. Her memories appeared in Lord Knife's mind. This girl was originally an adorable Lula-type girl. However, she fell victim to the poison of a great emperor. Magic blood was forced into her body, which is why she became like this. After viewing the girl's memories, Master Dao couldn't help but frown. He then gently tapped her forehead again, causing her to fall into a temporary slumber. Then he looked at the old man Murong below. "I'll leave this to you. Don't mention anything about what happened tonight to anyone. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Do you understand?" Murongong respectfully agreed. Then Lord Dao hugged the girl and flew back to the courtyard. But the commotion caused here had already attracted countless onlookers. I'm afraid this secret can't be kept anymore. As soon as Lord Dao stepped into the courtyard, the country chicken asked in confusion, "Why do you bring her back?" Knife Master ignored him and walked up to the peach tree saying, "Peach tree, I'll leave her to you. I need to head back first." As soon as he finished speaking, a burst of blue light emerged from the peach tree, and then Sister Peach revealed her true form. Tao Ji looked at the girl and couldn't help but exclaim, "What a werewolf immortal? To be so ruthless to a 6-year-old girl?" After saying that, she gathered her spiritual power and formed an illusion of a peach blossom in her hand. At the same time, the most beautiful peach blossom on the tree bloomed. It then slowly floated down. It landed on the girl's forehead. The girl was immediately enveloped by the large peach blossom and purified. Soon all the demonic energy within her body dissipated. Hearing the noise, Jinjian carefully poked his head out. He was stunned by the scene in front of him, because the girl before him was someone he knew all too well. It was Suling, the daughter of the heavenly emperor of the immortal realm. When Sulinger opened her large, captivating eyes again, she immediately stunned Taoji into Ji. It's just adorably extreme. When Sulinger asked where this was, Taoji began to instill new memories in her. "From now on, this is your home. You should call the master older brother." The golden sword, which had been secretly watching, let out an amused sound. "I have a feeling. Now the Supreme Emperor Bachin will definitely be restless. This man is the Supreme Emperor Bachin, revered by all in the immortal realm." Just now, the dark energy on his daughter Suling's jade pendant dissipated. He immediately ordered people to find his daughter, and he promised whoever helps him find his daughter, eternal wealth and power, and to share this world with him. On this side of the mortal realm, Chen Ping'an was still having a pleasant dream. A jingling sound of bells came through. Annoyed, he wrapped himself tighter in his blanket. Sulinger nudged him and called out, "Brother, wake up." Chen Ping'an finally opened his eyes. In front of him, a porcelain doll was smiling at him. The sun is already shining on your backside. Chen Pingyan suddenly sat up with a start. Little sister, who are you? How did you end up here? My name is Su Ling. This is my home. Upon hearing this, Chen Pingyan looked completely confused. He thought Su Ling was referring to the town when she said here, but such a cute little loli. He had been in the town for 5 years. There's no way he hasn't seen her. Chen Pingyan thought she was a little girl who had gotten lost from some family. He patted her head and said he would take her to find her parents. Su Ling didn't refuse. So Chen Pingyan took her to the town. An hour. The two of them circled around and ended up back at his yard. Chen Pingyan asked helplessly, Xiao Linger, do you still remember what your parents looked like? Su Ling casually replied, I don't remember. But big sister Peach Tree. Just as she spoke, the peach tree suddenly trembled violently. A small pebble bounced off a tree. It happened to hit Xiao Linger on the head, preventing her from continuing. But Chen Pingyan mistakenly thought she had injured her head, leading to memory confusion. Su Ling looked at Chen Pingyan pitifully. Brother, don't you want Linger anymore? Chen Pingyan gently patted her head to comfort her. How could that be? For now, you just have to accept having an extra little sister. He thought that her parents would probably come looking for her soon. At that moment, a voice came from outside the door. Senior, are you home? He opened the door and looked. It was Mirongong and Zhang Shifeng. Zhang Shifeng quickly bowed. I agree, my senior. Thank you, senior, for saving my life. After speaking, he looked shocked, because in his eyes, the person opposite was filled with Tao principles and rhymes, while Chen Pingyan was completely dumbfounded. He thought they were mostly just using the excuse of coming for a meal. At that moment, Xiao Linger walked over. Mirongong quickly asked, Senior, this? Chen Pingyan smiled and said, This is my sister, Su Ling. She's 12 years old. Like me, she's an ordinary person. Xiao Linger called out sweetly, Grandpa. The two old men were instantly dumbfounded. This was no ordinary person. For the aura emanating from the young girl before them was simply terrifying. It was no less than that of a celestial emperor. Seeing their extremely exaggerated expressions, Chen Pingyan and Xiao Linger were both utterly bewildered. Mirongong's heart was even more tumultuous. Both siblings were terrifying. Just how strong were their parents? Chen Pingyan had to change the subject. He invited them both in for dinner. Because Zhang Shifeng was unaware, he politely declined Chen Pingyan's offer. How could old man Mirong miss such an opportunity? He immediately covered his mouth to show that he would fully follow Chen Pingyan's arrangement. When Chen Pingyan brought Xiao Linger into the room, Mirongong gave Zhang Shifeng a warning glance. Hearing her brother say he would cook, Xiao Linger volunteered to do it. Chen Pingyan didn't expect his sister could cook, so he quietly waited with the two old men. Then he reminded Mirongong to be careful with his table manners this time, lest it spoils the children. Mirongong nodded repeatedly. Zhang Shifeng suddenly whispered, asking why old man Mirong didn't care about his dignity. He actually dared to freeload a meal at a senior's house. Mirongong snorted. If you've got the guts, don't eat later. Before long, Zhang Shifeng smelled a strong fragrance. Then he saw Xiao Linger walking out carrying a hot pot. When the pot lid was lifted, a dazzling golden light burst out in an instant. The two old men couldn't help but gasp in surprise. What kind of heavenly treasure is this? The two of them ate until their bellies were full. Once again, they finished everything. The rice and hot pot were licked clean. Chen Pingyan only felt that this time was rushed again. He hadn't even finished his meal before it was all gone. Although unwilling, Linger's cooking skills were far better than his. She was practically at the level of a professional chef. So he asked little Ling who she learned cooking from. Little Linger thought for a moment and said, I don't know either, but I realized that I seem to be able to cook many dishes. Chen Ping was overjoyed. He wouldn't have to eat his usual 3 simple stir-fries anymore. This girl is definitely the one for him. Not just it. Even the magic wook feels like it has found its soulmate, even though it feels a bit guilty towards its owner. But Xiao Linger is the one who truly knows how to cook. He even suggested that Master Dao talk to Sister Tao, then add a few more memory seals to Xiao Linger. She shouldn't go looking for her useless father. Although Master Dao was very impatient, he thought it made a lot of sense. This man casually played a tune of Xiao, and not only did it help two beauties instantly break through their realms, it even repaired the broken immortal sword. Just now, I'd Xiao Ling's or soup fish hot pot. Both old men couldn't help but shed tears of emotion. It was because of this hot pot that they both broke through their limits. Mirongong was extremely envious and jealous to the point of hatred. He even shamelessly spoke nonsense. He actually suggested swapping his own granddaughter for Xiao Linger. On the other side, Mirongshu sneezed immediately. She didn't know who was cursing her. A flying ship hovered above her head. When the ship landed, the person who arrived was Princess Lu Lanking of the kingdom. She was also Mirongshu's good friend. Mirongshu smiled and flattered her. Princess, it's been a long time. You're really becoming more and more beautiful. Lord Roland had a proud look on his face, but then he stared at Mirongshu seriously. Have you really grown up? It made her feel quite embarrassed. Someone else walked over from behind. It It was Murongsu's cousin Lu Shaji. As soon as Murongsu saw him, she couldn't help but scold him. Why are you following me? Another toad wishing to eat swan meat. Lu Shaoji was extremely annoyed. Weelei, be careful, Murongsu might punch you. But in the next moment, Murongsu merely released a breath, and it forced Lu Shaoji back, sending him crashing to the ground. He was filled with terror. You actually broke through to the 5th level of Yuan Ying, Murongsu hummed proudly. How does it compare to you? One of the 3 top talents of the kingdom, at the 5th level of Foundation Establishment. How about it? Lu Lanking also looked shocked. Xiaoxiu, what's going on with your cultivation? Could it be related to that sword light? Murongsu was stunned. Before she could explain, Lu Lanking continued explaining that this was also why she had come to see her today. On the day the secret cave was broken into, Lu Lanking was outside with her father, admiring the distant mountain peaks. That mountain peak was said to be a famous local scenic spot. Suddenly, a red sword light flashed across the mountain. She was stunned at the time. She thought it was a martial art technique unleashed by some peerless expert. With one strike, the mountain peak was severed. And it wasn't just her. Many cultivators followed the light and found this place. Murongsu nervously explained that it wasn't sword light, but blade light. Her best friend's eyes immediately lit up. But when Murongsu saw Lu Shaojie, who had been eavesdropping, she pulled her best friend away to talk elsewhere. Then the two turned into a streak of light and flew into the sky. On the way, Murongsu recounted her encounter with Chen Ping'an. Lu Lankin's face showed a look of utter astonishment. Senior Immortal. Tea can improve spiritual root level, and meals can improve cultivation. Seeing her good friend's disbelief, Murongsu directly took her to Chen Ping'an's courtyard. She had completely forgotten the rule about not disturbing the senior. At this moment, Chen Ping'an was playing with the bamboo flute in his hand. Murongsu suddenly pushed open the door and greeted him. Chen Ping'an immediately invited them to come in and sit down. As Lu Lanking entered, she was so startled that her soul nearly left her body. She felt as though countless terrifying, invisible gazes were watching her. She even had the feeling of being seen through. Murongsu told her not to be nervous. They all say their first time here is like this. Then I pushed my best friend to Chen Ping'an. Senior, actually my best friend wanted to meet you this time. That's why we came to bother you. Lu Lanking was shy and at a loss. She originally thought he was a decrepit old man. Unexpectedly, this senior is not only incredibly powerful, he's still so handsome. At this moment, Xiao Linger peeked out from behind the peach tree. Brother, who are they? Murongsu immediately became nervous. When she heard Chen Ping'an say they were his sister and relaxed a little, Xiaolin gave a well-behaved smile and greeted, "Hello, sister." The two women immediately doted on Xiao Linger, sandwiching her between them. He rubbed the little cute face with all his might. It made Chen Ping'an unable to resist wanting to try it himself. He had no choice but to take out the bamboo flute to distract himself. He immediately played a little Secret of Summer. Murongsu suddenly startled. A premonition of enlightenment suddenly surged in her heart. Lu Lankin was also greatly shocked. Clearly there was no movement of internal energy. I was already in enlightenment. Jinjian was shocked beyond belief upon hearing this music. It actually contained profound Taoist principles. After listening for only a few seconds, most of his injuries were healed. I never imagined that this master's strength would be so terrifying. At this moment he had completely submitted. He even fantasized about one day also become a part of this room full of magical artifacts. Exilinger clapped her hands and praised enthusiastically. Lu Lanking directly broke through from the 1st to the 6th level of Foundation Establishment. Murongsu broke through from the 5th to the 9th level of Nascent Soul. The two women immediately bowed. Thank you, senior, for this opportunity. Chen Ping was left confused. It seems like I haven't fed you anything. He still thinks that fate is just about begging for alms. Pay attention, this is the recording device in cultivation. It's called the Sound Recording Stone, which claims to record every sound. Just now, after enjoying a song from Chen Ping'an, Lu Lanking felt like she had nothing to give in return. She was about to express her thanks again. But as soon as Chen Ping'an saw her expression, he knew what she was going to say. She decisively rejected the offer of marriage. Lu Lanking had the same intention, but being rejected so ruthlessly to her face left the girl heartbroken. Chen Ping'an hadn't thought that much. It's strange, these immortals. Why do they always insist on offering themselves to him, a mere mortal? Suddenly he had a flash of insight. Could it be that it's really because I'm just too handsome? Lolan King, still walking down the road, couldn't let go. After all, it was the first time in her life that her confession was rejected, and she's a princess of the country too. Seeing this, Murongsu could only comfort her good friend. Her good friend's crying suddenly stopped. I wonder if she's been rejected before too. Murongsu felt guilt. She could only change the subject. Anyway, you're just after the senior's opportunities. Being able to hear the music is good enough. Don't worry so much. She had just finished speaking when Lu Lanking took something out from her sleeve. It is indeed a piece of purple jade. This stone is known as the Sound Stone, which is said to be able to record any sound. And just now, when Chen Ping was playing, she secretly recorded it. The two of them were delighted and immediately found a place to listen. When the music came out of the sound stone, the two of them once again entered a state of sudden enlightenment. The momentum on their bodies began to rise rapidly. In no time at all, Murangshu's cultivation level rose from the 9th level of the nascent soul to its peak. Lu Lankin's cultivation rose from the 6th level of core formation to its peak. There was a bug in this. The two of them were ready to go all the way, but when she infused more spiritual energy into it, the sound concealment stone suddenly exploded. This outcome was something they never expected, and there was also a strong, thick black smoke spreading all around. The black smoke could even corrode clothes. Soon Lu Lankin was nearly left exposed. A large area of her fair skin was revealed. The two women were immediately thrown into a state of panic. They didn't know if this was the consequence of being too greedy. On the other side, Lu Ziji was still secretly angry. Well, he is also one of the 3 great geniuses. Did he think that leaving him behind would leave him helpless? He took out the positioning navigation of the immortal realm. It turns out that he had already set a tracking spell on the princess. He truly is a scheming man. At first, the coordinates remained unmoved for a long time. The next second, they suddenly disappeared, shocking Lu Ziji. The two women had quietly approached the flying boat. As luck would have it, Murangshu stepped on a dry twig. Lu Ziji subconsciously looked back. This look, he didn't know, almost scared him to death. He immediately turned around and covered his eyes. Murangshu's roar sounded behind him at the same time. You better turn your head again, or I'll just confiscate your tools. In fact, Lu Ziji doesn't care about their beauty. Vipika's just now in a hurry. He realized that the two women's abilities had increased dramatically. This made him envious. Analyzing this opportunity, it's related to the place where he stayed for a long time earlier. He has to go take a look. He followed the coordinates and arrived at Chen Pingyan's courtyard door. Without a second thought, he walked right in. The farm chicken, the phoenix, and big brother Xiao immediately released a powerful pressure. Lu Shaoji was instantly swept into it. With a thud, he kneeled to the ground. The sheer pressure alone made me unable to move. It felt like my whole body was being whipped. But he found this feeling incredibly exhilarating. He almost couldn't get enough. To Ji Fengwang, his face filled with terror, involuntarily took a step back. This kid, couldn't he be excited? I feel like his blood is boiling. Deji Sozi got goosebumps all over. What the hell? This guy doesn't have any weird fetish, does he? At this moment, Chen Pingyan and Xiao Ling had just finished gathering herbs and were on their way back. They froze as soon as they reached the door. What the hell? Why is there another person kneeling inside? Did they trip over something? Is my doorstep really that high? Chen Pingyan immediately went over and helped the young man up. Lu Shaoji was greatly startled. It seemed he was most likely the master of the courtyard, but as he looked closely at the newcomer, the boundless principles and rhymes instantly filled his eyes. He knelt down before Chen Pingyan again. Greetings, Senior. I apologize for mistakenly entering your territory, Senior. This habitual kneeling made Chen Pingyan think that he must be a relative of the Murong family. Lu Shaoji didn't expect that this Senior's reasoning ability was so terrifying. Just one glance and he already knew his background. Chen Pingyan felt overwhelmed. In his view, the entire Murong family was abnormal. Every time I come here, I'm either kneeling or sweating profusely. I secretly wonder if this kidney deficiency is a hereditary family disease. Xiaoling suddenly walked over. Brother, I will first. Lu Shaoji gasped in shock. Damn it, there's another terrifying presence. This arrogant 12-year-old loli. He actually possesses the strength of an immortal emperor. Lu Shaoji immediately knelt under Xiao Linger's skirt. Seeing this, Chen Pingyan had no choice but to help him up again. If you're weak, don't tense up too much. When cultivating, you need to balance work and rest, and your stance is already unstable. Don't kneel so easily. A man's knees are worth gold, understand? Lu Shaoji was stunned. Could this golden knee have some deep meaning? Did the senior see my flaws? Although Lu Shaoji was one of the 3 greatest geniuses, even though his cultivation was close to the other 2, he had always been suppressed by them working together. They often jokingly called him the Eternal Third. The difference between them was in their body techniques, so Lu Ziji believed that the phrase gold beneath the knee was most likely a clue for him. So he began to gather his energy and sink it down to his knees. As for the word gold, it referred to the energy rising and clashing, forming a shape. Then he leapt into the air. His body was as light as a swallow, suspended in mid-air. Chen Pingyan looked up, his face full of envy. It looked so impressive. Meanwhile, Lu Shaoji was ecstatic, because the move just now was his self-created martial skill. It is known that only powerful cultivators in the crossing tribulation stage can achieve this. Chen Pingyan, on the other hand, kindly reminded below to always pay attention to balancing work and rest, and eat more leeks to nourish the body. I've been kneeling for too long, the blood isn't circulating, take it easy. Upon hearing this, Lu Shaoji looked calm, then a sharp pain shot through his ankle. I didn't expect the senior to notice the problem with my martial arts skills. It turns out I need to maintain the flow of spiritual energy. He said a quick farewell and immediately flew off. I need to hurry back and study the martial arts issue. Chen Ping'an looked completely confused. Wasn't it just a reminder to tonify your kidneys? Can that really be considered guidance? The next day he took Xiao Ling to stroll around Ping'an town. Xiao Ling wanted to buy a watermelon again. The really big one, of course. At that moment, Chen Ping'an overheard a conversation from some passersby. It was a group of cultivators looking for treasures. He was greatly puzzled. Why are more and more cultivators coming to this ordinary small town? And the culprit is a stunning slash from Master Dao back then. Taji had long sensed the presence of these cultivators. The country bumpkin was powerless. He could only let Master Dao deal with this mess himself. The carp followed, gloating. Knife Master is having a terrible headache now. He never expected that the immortal emperor of this world would create such a trashy secret realm pillar. It was broken with a casual strike. It's simply the trashiest immortal emperor he's ever encountered. Little Golden Sword, who had been eavesdropping, felt a surge of emotion. That's how powerful and arrogant the big shots talk. Suddenly, Knife Master moved up to his face. It nearly scared the soul out of him. This little trash in the corner? How about helping me with something? The trembling little trash quickly agreed. Knife Master told him not to be nervous. He just wanted him to go out and pretend that the knife wound was made by him. Then find a way to lead those who are investigating elsewhere. He also said that although he benefited from him, it's a good opportunity to become famous. How could this little trash not know that this Daoyi just wants him to be the scapegoat? Daoyi suddenly pressed hard on his sword hilt, seeing Daoyi's threatening smile. The little trash immediately guaranteed to complete the mission. Then he turned into a streak of sword light and flew out of the courtyard. Soon little trash arrived at the location of the secret realm. He glanced around. He analyzed that the sword light from that day should have flown all the way to the edge of the continent. If they followed the destroyed peaks along the way, the group of explorers would most likely be able to pinpoint this location. So little trash finally revealed his true form. He was ready to cause a scene here. He casually swung out several sword lights. The ground continued to crack. It still wasn't enough. He unleashed another powerful sword kai. As expected, the massive noise immediately attracted the group of seekers. The little trash proudly looked at the group of little idiots. It looks like he succeeded. One of the newcomers, a red-haired man. It is the Tower Master of the Heavenly Venerable Tower, Long Aoshin. He believes himself to be strong. He took out the immortal artifact to set up the immortal trapping formation. He planned to use it to subdue the little trash. However, this item requires a vast amount of spiritual energy. The other few small guys agreed to cooperate, but the choice of master for the immortal artifact afterwards depends on their own opportunities. The little trash watched them perform with great interest. Long Aoshin formed a seal with his 2 fingers. The massive formation instantly enveloped the little trash. The little trash chuckled. It's actually the immortal trapping formation. I haven't seen this thing in a long time. I'll just look forward to it for now. But 2 hours later, the little trash was utterly disappointed. One little Gaga is already completely exhausted. Another one seems to have had its kidneys drained, its spiritual energy depleted. The remaining little Gaga risks its life to deliver the last bit of spiritual energy. The little trash is almost growing impatient. Just as he wondered whether to help them recharge, Long Aoshin used all his strength. Finally, the formation was activated. He gathered another seal again. Several golden sealing chains materialized within the immortal trap. The little trash was instantly locked down. Long Aoshin was ecstatic. He thought to himself, the chance of this supreme immortal weapon recognizing him as its master is the greatest. However, he was about to be ruthlessly slapped in the face. What followed would be the little trash's real moment to shine. A mere Long Aoshin from the mortal realm actually dared to challenge the mighty divine power of the supreme immortal sword. A sword beam instantly shattered the Kunkshin formation. Long Aoshin knelt on the ground in despair. Levjia chuckled. I don't kill ants. Then he casually pointed to a place. He falsely claimed that a month later, he would appear there. At that time he would choose a master. He thought his speech was perfect. Then he vanished into the sky as a golden light, long out inside. He thought he was invincible in the mortal world. Now it seems utterly ridiculous. Dispirited, he walked towards his old home, which he hadn't returned to in hundreds of years. Meanwhile, Axiolagia carefully pushed open the kitchen window. Master Blade, the matter has been taken care of. Those mortals who are cultivating the earth should not come again. Master Knife is quite satisfied, but he reminds him to make sure it appears as a normal weapon. Otherwise, the spiritual body will be directly extinguished. Upon hearing this, little trash fork panicked. Could it be that Senior has discovered that I am using immortal power? Will I be killed? Just then, Chen Ping'an's voice came from outside. The little trash instantly transformed back into a long sword and lay quietly in the corner. Chen Ping'an had just walked in and glanced at the little trash. It shuddered again. Chen Ping'an didn't find the axe in the bamboo basket. Suddenly he turned sharply towards the little trash. Then, picking up the small trash, he muttered to himself, I'll try you out today. The small trash didn't expect that a dignified immortal artifact would actually be used to chop wood. The scene shifts to a dilapidated house. This is where Long Aoshin lived as a child. He couldn't help but feel sentimental. His parents had passed away many years ago. I'm will too. But returning here, I can still recall the good old days. Suddenly, the Tao's rhyme flowed around him. His Tao heart actually improved at this moment. He used to think that diligent cultivation was the only way. It seems that cultivating the mind is the correct approach. At this moment, Long Aoshin's kingly heart was awakened once more. He vowed to become the strongest person on this continent. He wandered aimlessly. Suddenly, he saw a young man chopping wood ahead. He looked closer. The axe the young man was using was the same immortal sword from before. He heard Chen Ping gently touch the sword and sigh. No wonder it's a cultivator's weapon. Chopping wood is so convenient with it. Seeing this, Aoshin thought he was hallucinating. Just as Xiaolaji thought he was lucky no one saw him, he suddenly noticed someone nearby. An intense pressure instantly emanated from them, directly targeting Long Aoshin. Long Aoshin was pushed to the ground, falling onto his bottom. Chen Ping only then realized someone had arrived. Dropping his sword, he rushed forward to help the old man. Long Aoshin felt another wave of terror. The immortal sword was casually thrown away. Long Aoshin couldn't help but ask, "Young man, why are you using such a weapon to chop firewood?" Chen Ping smiled gently. "This thing is useless, so I just use it to chop firewood." Long Aoshin was instantly stunned as if struck by a thunderclap. Chen Ping was gathering firewood, while inviting Long Aoshin to be his guest. Long Aoshin was still in a state of shock, looking at the young man in front of him with no cultivation. He really couldn't understand how a magical artifact would recognize him as its master, even if it did. Didn't it have any dignity being used to chop firewood? After packing up the firewood, Chen Ping asked Long Aodin to help him get the sword. Long Aodin looked guilty. "This isn't very good." Chen Ping smiled. He just reminded him not to get cut. Long Aodin secretly thanked his lucky stars. "Is it just a matter of getting cut? I feel like if I even touch it, I'll be instantly killed." But he still couldn't resist the temptation and reached out. The moment he picked up the small trash instantly emitted a powerful aura, threatening to immediately destroy him. Long Aodin apologized, explaining that his master had requested it. A coughing sound suddenly rang out. The small trash's imposing manner immediately dissipated. Chen Ping gave an awkward smile. "My throat's a little dry from all that work just now." Long Aodin was dumbfounded. He could actually make a divine artifact so obedient. Just who exactly is this person? Long Aodin respectfully placed the small trash can beside the firewood pile. Then he followed Chen Ping into the courtyard. When he saw the courtyard filled with boundless Tao principles, he immediately bowed to Chen Ping. "I am Long. I greet you, senior." At the same time, he was deeply shocked. Compared to this courtyard, that immortal sword is indeed trash. It seems senior is cultivating the heart of a mortal. Chen Ping told him not to be so polite. He asked him if he knew Mirongong. Long Aoshin's expression changed dramatically. He mistakenly thought the Mirongong mentioned by him was the founder of the Tianzin Tower, Mirongong. He also believed that the calculation pointed to him as the current leader of the Tianzin Tower, so he flattered him. "Senior, your insight is remarkable. I deeply admire you." Chen Ping was at a loss for words. He felt that everything related to the Mirong family was like this. Xiaolinger, who overheard their conversation, peeked her head out. She called out, "Grandpa Long Oqian." Atian nervously replied. Inside I was shaken. I had never seen such a cute and strong little girl. Chen Ping asked Xiaolinger to. Daxi took it out to serve the old man. Xiaoling was very unwilling. Chen Ping patted her head. He told her not to be too selfish. But Xiaolinger, overwhelmed by an uncontrollable pressure, scared Long Aoshin into stopping in his tracks. Seeing the girl was about to snap, he quickly lied, saying he had urgent business. "I can only take my leave for now and visit another day." But Chen Ping didn't think much of it. Before he left, he asked if he had heard of a cooling treasure. Long Aoshin's treasured item, the one that guards the building, just happens to be such a treasure. He promised to send it to him tomorrow. Chen Ping had intended to invite him for a meal again. But as soon as he saw Xiaolinger brimming with killing intent, Long Aoshin no longer dared to stay any longer. He said a quick goodbye and fled the scene. The Knife Lord's wrath causes gods and Buddhists to kneel. Just now, Chen Ping took Xiaoling out to buy a skirt. Only then did the little brat relax and drop the disguise. Suddenly a group of cultivators flew across the sky. The little brat guessed that it must be because yesterday's matter was not properly handled. After informing Master Dao, he followed him. Upon hearing this, Master Dao opened his eyes. His figure appeared instantly and his expression became serious, because he knew that this little pest was more likely to meet a bad end than a good one. When the little pest arrived at the secret realm landing point again, he discovered that there wasn't a single cultivator around. At that moment a voice suddenly rang out. The little pest turned his head and his expression changed drastically. Memories flooded to the mind in an instant. Back then, when he was captured by the Blood Moon sect, he was subjected to severe torture. The purpose was to force him to acknowledge his master. The one who tortured him was the little brat who just spoke. The little brat pulled out a whip and sneered. "Isn't this the golden-winged immortal weapon? It's been a long time, I've missed it so much." He instinctively took a step back. He didn't expect the Blood Moon sect to find him so quickly. However, he was very curious. How did they find him among so many mortals? It turns out they had already marked his aura. He suddenly understood. It was because he had leaked his aura with his strike yesterday. Seeing this, he wanted to escape. Sao Gaga immediately took out a talisman. He pinched his fingers, formed a seal, and let out a soft shout. Binding Spirit Array. Activate. Sao Lejiji was instantly enveloped by the array. The powerful pressure forced him to kneel on the ground. This array is a special one, custom-made for him. Back then, if it weren't for this array sealing his spiritual energy, with one strike he could wipe out the entire Blood Moon sect. Little Gaga urged him not to resist and to surrender obediently. He suddenly let out a hearty laugh. This attitude greatly irritated Little Gaga. The figure of Chen Ping'an appeared in his mind, as well as the imposing presence of Old Master Knife. His body was instantly filled with a fighting spirit as he slowly stood up. This time, even if he died, he would no longer submit. Saga also lost his patience. He formed hand seals again. A beam of light shot down from the sky. It instantly pierced through his body. This beam of light was actually the Zuxian. Sailaji spat out a mouthful of blood. He fantasized about whether the boss would come to save him, and his body had already begun to disintegrate. In the small courtyard, Taoji anxiously tries to stop Doi, but Doi still looks determined to leave. Toj starts to persuade him again. Doi, you know the rules. Leaving without permission will, at best, result in you becoming immortal, and at worst, lead to the annihilation of your body and soul. Doi naturally knows this, but the little spicy chicken was sent by him. Even if it costs his life, Master Dao will still save this kid. A red light appeared in the sky. With a loud crash, it hit the ground in front of Xiao Gaga. Xiao was shocked and pale. The pressure from the newcomer made him uneasy. Master Dao's calm voice sounded. When I get angry, even gods and Buddhas have to kneel. A mere cultivator at the immortal Yuan realm dares to touch my little brother. This little weakling didn't expect the boss to actually show up. But Lord Knife just sneered. This kind of weak formation can actually trap you. You really are nothing but a complete weakling. Before the words left his mouth, a finger shot out. The formation and the Zuxian nails were instantly shattered. Seeing this, Xiao Gaga actually dared to threaten Daoye. Daoye gathered his spiritual energy with 2 fingers. A red light flashed. Xiao Gaga was instantly killed. The rescued Sao Lejiji finally dared to ask the boss how he got here. Daoye let out another yell. Shut up. Come back with me. The little spicy chicken was momentarily stunned. Then a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Soon the little spicy chicken kneeled outside the house. Even the local chickens didn't dare to plead for him. Even the mighty Knife Lord kneeled inside the house. The woman in front of him simply said one sentence. Don't do it again. Meanwhile, Sanji Blood Moon Sect, someone immediately reported what just happened to the Blood Moon Sect master. He analyzed that it was highly likely related to the Heavenly Emperor's search for his daughter's clues. After all, a mortal who could shatter an immortal emperor-level secret realm, there must be beings comparable to immortal emperors. He even believes he will soon share this world with Batian. At this time, Chen Ping'an and Sao Linger returned after shopping. Sao Linger changed into her new outfit. She was incredibly adorable. Just as they were about to enter, Long Aoshan came over. It turned out Long Aoshan had come to look for him because he hadn't returned. He has been waiting outside the door, and he is here to deliver the cooling treasure. Notice that this is not just an ordinary chilled watermelon. It is a chilled watermelon containing the Supreme Tao. Just now, Long Aoshan gave the treasure of the building, the Tiangsuan ice crystal, to Chen Ping'an. In gratitude, Chen Ping'an said he would properly treat him this time. At this moment, a golden light appeared outside the door. Good heavens! The Heavenly Emperor Batian has actually arrived. As soon as he pushed open the gate to the small courtyard, he was stunned by everything in front of him. Inside the house, Long Aoshan was equally shocked, his skin crawling. He had just eaten a meal that could enhance his cultivation, and drank a cup of goji berry tea that boosted his spiritual roots. This was simply an incredible opportunity, something you'd never even dream of. It turns out that the reason Chen Ping wanted to cool down the treasure was because he wanted to make a refrigerator and chill some watermelon. Long Aoshan was quite curious about this peculiar way of eating watermelon. Chen Ping'an brought over the chilled watermelon and offered it for Long Aoshan to try, but he glanced sideways. He saw Xiao Linger staring at him with a watchful gaze. Luckily, Chen Ping'an gave her a little reminder. Xiao Linger immediately knew when to retreat. She obediently pushed the watermelon over to Long Aoshan. Long Aoshan picked up a slice of watermelon but didn't hurry to eat it. After all, the previous meals had been so extraordinary, he needed to calm his mind first. When he gently took a bite, a sudden explosion resounded in his body. His danchan actually transformed into the sea, gathering spirit, condensing life. This is a sign of breaking through to the immortal realm. He is about to reach that level. His heart is in turmoil. How could an ordinary watermelon have such an effect? Could it be the influence of the kitchen knife's aura? And the knife master, after cutting the watermelon, suffers greatly. The blade is covered in sticky watermelon juice. Long Aoshan's breakthrough will unleash immense energy. I can only pretend I need to relieve myself. I have to go out and take care of it immediately. As he opened the door, the stranger was outside. He looked at the other person with a puzzled expression. It was the heaven-defying emperor kneeling outside. He raised his hand about to ask for help. Long Aoshin was too busy to pay attention to him. They brushed past each other. Just as the tyrant heavenly immortal emperor was wondering if this person was really the master, Chen Pingin's voice rang out. There's no need to run so far when you have a bathroom at home. The tyrant heavenly immortal emperor looked up, and his expression changed drastically. The person in front of him was surrounded by the Tao. It turned out to be a body of the Tao. This person is the true master of the courtyard. Only now does he understand why the courtyard is filled with terrifying beings. Even the mighty immortal emperor must kneel upon entering. But this young man has no cultivation. Could it be the cultivation of the heart? But he quickly dismissed that thought. According to secret records of the immortal emperor, those are the body of the Tao, heavenly, earthly, and heart all connected and clear. Having accumulated enough, he breaks through directly. There are no bottlenecks to speak of. He even imagined Chen Pingin is setting up a game of chess that concerns billions of lives. Humans are the pieces. The entire world is the chessboard. He is competing with another super powerful being aiming to control the game. He even thought he was just a pawn. Chen Pingin looked at his foolish appearance and couldn't help but ask, "Are you alright, old brother? I should change this threshold someday. Did you fall and hurt yourself?" But the overlord immortal emperor knocked his head 3 times. Junior Sui greets his senior. When Chen Pingin heard him call out Sui, he hurriedly asked if he was looking for Su Ling. The Batian immortal emperor immediately declared that he was Su Ling's father. Chen Pingin suddenly felt a pang of reluctance. If he didn't return Su Ling, wouldn't he become a human trafficker? He sighed and helped the Batian immortal emperor to his feet. After entering the room, Linger said she didn't recognize her father. The heavenly emperor Batian immediately became anxious. Hearing Xiaoling repeatedly deny that he was her father, Chen Pingin's expression immediately turned cold. Are you or are you not Xiaolinger's father? Suya was at a loss for how to explain. He began to overthink. Didn't Senior calculate the fate of each piece? How could I not know? Am I just an insignificant member? Linger is the Senior's pawn. So I nervously explained. With all due respect to Senior, I haven't seen little Ling for a while. Logically speaking, she should be much bigger by now. Higher. But Xiaoling's appearance now was the same as before. That's why I suspect. Hearing this, Chen Pingin increasingly suspected Suya's identity. He asked him if he knew where Xiaoling's birthmark was located. Chen Pingin asked that because he accidentally saw a snowflake-shaped birthmark on Xiaolinger's neck last time. Suya's answer confirmed it. It seems this old man really is Xiaolinger's father without a doubt, but Chen Pingin really couldn't bear to part with Xiaolinger, so he tentatively asked her if she wanted to go with him. I don't want to stay with myself anymore. Seeing her nod without hesitation, Chen Pingin shamelessly assured Suyai that he would take good care of Xiaolinger and would pass on all his knowledge to her. Suyai didn't expect her daughter to have such a fortuitous encounter. She suddenly knelt down before Chen Pingin again. Senior, I leave Xiaoling in your care from now on. At this moment, Long Aoshin successfully broke through to the Earth Immortal realm. Suyai appeared behind him at some point. Congratulations on your breakthrough, fellow Deist. After all, he's a guest of the senior. Suyai naturally needed to maintain good relations, so he gave Long Aoshin a token that would allow him to travel freely in the Immortal realm. Long Aoshin cupped his hands in gratitude. I am Long. May I ask how you are called, senior? My name is In the Immortal realm, everyone calls me the Overlord Immortal Emperor. Long Aoshin subconsciously praised the name. When he realized it, he was completely stunned. This young man was originally illiterate. The male lead taught him a poem, Quiet Night Thoughts, and he awakened his Confucian sage talent. Just now, the Overlord Immortal Emperor returned to the Immortal realm. Thinking that he could visit his daughter once a month, he felt very happy. At this time, Zhao Kun, the sect master of Blood Moon sect, appeared before him. He immediately knelt down to pay his respects. The Overlord Emperor deliberately asked him what was the matter. He had just begun to ask if they had found Su Ling. The Overlord Emperor directly said no. How could he not know this old fellow's intentions? The Zhao Kun naturally didn't believe the Overlord's words. He asked again if he needed to go down to the lower realms to search. The Overlord Emperor's face immediately darkened. He released a wave of pressure, sending Zhao Kun flying, and threatened that if their sect dared to go further, he would directly destroy the Blood Moon sect. Such evil have no right to share the world with him. In the City of Light in the Mortal Realm, today is the day the Mountain of Books Academy recruits disciples. One of them actually possesses the talent of a Confucian sage. He heard the uproar outside. A man covered in foam scolded these disciples for a few moments. This man was none other than the Academy head Zen Danton. A scholar quickly stepped forward to greet him. This scholar was Gu Zimo, who possessed the innate talent of a Confucian sage. It turned out that for the past 4 years, He had been seeking guidance from Chen Ping'an. Only then did he awaken his Confucian sage talent. Zen Danton wanted to test his abilities, so he asked him to recite a poem he had learned from Chen Ping'an. Guzimo suppressed his emotions and began to recite, "Leaving home young I return old. My accent unchanged, my hair grown gray. Children meet, yet do not recognize each other. Laughing, they ask, from where do you come? Traveler." His words had barely fallen. Zen Dantang immediately knelt. He felt the profound scholarly grace in these verses. In just 4 lines, he captured how life grows old and how the world changes. This is truly the sage of Confucianism in the flesh. So Zen Dantang, with a wrinkled old face, asked for Chen Ping'an's address. He wanted to visit him. He even thought about having Chen Ping'an become the dean. As soon as Guzimo gave the address, Zen Dantang grabbed him and rushed out of the academy. At that moment, the system issued a new task to establish a sect, and named it Ping'an Sect. Chen Ping'an was so angry he wanted to tear the system apart. Last time, it was already absurd enough to let a mortal join the sect. Now it's completely absurd beyond absurdity. But the system didn't care. Moreover, it gave him a deadline of 2 months, otherwise he would bear the consequences himself. Chen Ping'an felt a surge of frustration. He could only humbly ask for advice from Palace Master Murong when the opportunity arose. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. He opened the door and saw that it was Guzimo. Guzimo introduced Jen Danning. He said that he specifically came to visit him. Upon hearing that he was a big shot from the Shushan Immortal Academy, Chen Ping'an was thinking about how to properly show his respect. The old man suddenly bent down and bowed. Junior Jen Danning pays respects to senior. Chen Ping'an was completely dumbfounded. He really couldn't understand why such a top-tier figure from the mainland would call him senior. Could it be that he truly was invincible? So he decided to ask Jin Dantang a question, and he asked, "Do you think I'm strong?" Unexpectedly, as Jin Dantang suddenly knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. "Please forgive me, senior." This forecast confused Chen Ping. Just let him answer truthfully. Zin Dantang then began to speculate on his intentions. Could it be that the senior descended to cultivate his heart, wanting to secretly discover an unparalleled genius without letting others know? Or maybe the senior has predicted that I want him to take the position of dean, and this has disturbed his cultivation. Zen Dantang Yu thought more and more that what he had imagined was completely correct. He immediately said with a cold sweat, "Not strong at all. I can't see any cultivation at all. In my eyes, senior is just an ordinary person." Obviously, these words were a far cry from what Chen Ping'an had in mind. His face immediately turned sore. Seeing this, Jin Dantang's hands behind his back trembled uncontrollably. My heart was filled with utter terror. Said, "Farewell, senior." I grabbed Gazimio and immediately flew away. I was even grateful that the senior hadn't attacked. Fortunately, I had knelt down quickly enough and shown sufficient respect earlier. But on second thought, I thought it was because of Gu Zimiu's relationship with the senior. So I decided that I must cultivate Go Zimiu's abilities in the future. Thus he clung to his senior's thigh. Chen Ping'an guessed that Go Zimo had read his poem. Zin Dantang mistakenly thought it was his own. That's why he developed admiration for him. However, what he was most anxious about right now was establishing his own sect. But he knew nothing about cultivation. So he could only go to the town to buy a few books on cultivation. Before long, he arrived at the Wanji bookstore. He pushed open the door and greeted, "Is Mr. Duan here?" "I came to buy a book." The shop owner's wife spoke with excitement. "Mr. Chen, you're here? Look closely, this is the secret manual that even a fool can cultivate into an immortal. This book can only be found at the 1G Book Studio. The owner of the studio is this woman Duan Xingxin with a stunning figure. She and Chen Ping'an are old friends, and she really likes him. She can't help but tease him, like this time." Gu Xingxin showed a shy expression, and said that as a weak woman, she really wanted to find someone to marry. Chen Ping'an laughed and said that no one is good enough for her. Unexpectedly, Duan Xingxin suddenly stepped forward, pressed her lips to his and gave a mischievous smile. "Isn't there one right in front of me?" Chen Ping'an coughed twice, his old face turning red. He quickly changed the topic. "Boss Duan, do you have any books about the cultivation world? Preferably something about basic cultivation knowledge." Duan Xingxin immediately lost interest. "You always change the subject whenever I bring this up. As for the book, I happen to have one here." Then he took a book from the shelf. He handed over a book titled, "A Cultivation Manual Even Idiots Can Understand." He teased him again. "I'm not charging you for this book. Consider it a token of my affection." Chen Ping'an chuckled. "Thank you, Boss Duan. I'll make sure to promote this place for you." As he turned to leave, Duan Xingxin's voice was heard. "No need to promote it. Just come here often." Chen Ping'an's face turned red. The reason he allowed Duan Xingxin to tease him Chen Ping'an still couldn't be sure. He could only awkwardly suggest that he might invite her over to his house sometime. When he saw Duan Xingxin not, Chen Ping'an took his leave and left the place. On his way home, he once again dismissed his previous thoughts. After all, it was just a familiar face. It didn't mean anything. After seeing Chen Ping'an leave completely, Duan Xingxin murmured with a smile, "The time isn't right yet. Then she snapped her fingers. Asterisk snap asterisk code. A golden light burst from the study. In the blink of an eye, it vanished without a trace, as if it had never appeared. Chen Ping'an in the small courtyard was diligently reading this book. Finally, I understand that Ji-Yuan chance encounter divine opportunity means opportunity. Suddenly, he sat up straight. He recalled that the people from Murong Palace always tried to freeload meals. Could eating here really help them break through their cultivation realm? But he found that idea ridiculous. Because he ate the same food, and he didn't break through. So he thought they simply liked his cooking. His thoughts returned to establishing his sect. I still need to find an opportunity to ask Murong Palace. At that moment, Murangshi's voice sounded from outside. Chen Ping'an didn't expect such a coincidence. So he told her about the establishment of the sect. He asked her to go back and inform Murong Palace, hoping to discuss it. Murangshi's visit this time. To ask him, do you agree to the merger of their sect, Mount Yan sect, and the Moonlight sect, and the establishment of a new sect, if it's feasible? He would also need to name the new sect. After all, Chen Ping'an is still the ancestor of Mount Yan sect. Chen Ping'an didn't expect the surprise to come so quickly. He directly said, let's call it Ping'an sect. Murangshi's eyes brightened. Flatter me by praising my name. Chen Ping'an was at a loss for words. He felt that no matter what he said, everyone would think it's great. So he asked what was on his mind. You've always called me senior. Why is that? Murangshu instinctively replied. Of course, it's because of your senior's strength. She regretted saying it immediately. Chen Ping'an twitched the corner of his mouth. Is my cultivation really that strong? But I'm truly just an ordinary person. Murangshu was immediately at a loss. She cursed herself for forgetting about her senior's focus on cultivation. Chen Ping'an had wanted to ask more, but she was afraid that she might kneel again, so she changed the subject. She wanted to let her stay for a meal before leaving, but unexpectedly Murangshu still kneeled. She confessed about using the hidden sound stone last time. She promised never to covet opportunities again. After speaking, she ignored the bewildered Chen Ping and fled from here as if escaping. In the end, he still couldn't figure out what fate really was. He sighed helplessly. I wish I were stronger. Just then, a meteor was rapidly heading toward the town from the void. In a small grove, a couple was cuddling together. The woman said, can you really take responsibility for me? The man said, of course. My heart for you is as clear as the moon in the sky. My love, even the falling meteor could tell you all about it. As soon as he finished speaking, the man seemed to sense something and turned his head to look. There really was a meteorite falling from the sky. As the man pulled the woman to escape, Long Outing happened to see the meteorite nearby. He recognized that the meteorite was actually the Hong's auspiciousness stone. Moreover, it was landing right in Chen Ping'an's yard. Seeing such a huge meteorite about to crash down, Tuji was instantly scared out of his wits. Do you think this is just an ordinary carp? Actually, he's a golden dragon that completely overwhelms the emperor. The golden dragon soared into the sky. With a mighty dragon's tail sweep, it directly sent the Hong's auspicious stone flying. I never expected the senior to have a dragon at home. He imagined that the senior must have other plans for this meteorite. And this Hong's auspicious stone ultimately crashed into the Kainyu Empire. In just one night, the Kainyu Empire rose to prominence. First Princess Kainyu awakened to a super strong physique. In just 1 month, Kainyu Kingdom was upgraded to Kainyu Empire, becoming one of the top powers in the land of Canaan. Soon Murong Palace told Chen Ping about this. However, the princess of the Kainyu Empire said there was treasure near Ping'an town, and asked them to cooperate in excavating it. Therefore, the sect construction was put on hold. The person sent by the Kainyu Empire this time is in the crossing calamity stage. Murong Palace has no way to resist. After hearing this, Chen Ping'an nearly exploded, because there are only half a month left in the task deadline. Then he calmed down. He thought of asking Zhen Danteng for help. Murong Palace was overjoyed, but Chen Ping'an had not kept their contact information at that time. Suddenly he had a flash of inspiration. He remembered Xiao Linger's father. Murong Gong was delighted again. But the heavenly emperor Batian had just visited half a month ago. He would have to wait another half month. Murong Gong almost had a heart attack. He thought to himself, why could to this senior just finish speaking in one go? The woman in front of him, constantly interrupting. It is Princess Liu Yuxi of the Kainyu Empire. Zhang Sheifeng and the others could only endure in silence, because the bald bodyguard that Liu Yuxi brought with her is a cultivator at the tribulation stage. A tribulation stage cultivator. At this moment, a watermelon suddenly slammed onto the table. Liu Yuxi picked up a piece of watermelon and impatiently shouted, dare to show me a cold face? This is all you're good for. Fine. I'll accept it. It takes so long to cut a watermelon. As expected, these people are all useless. Murangshu could only suppress her anger. Liu Yuxi took a bite of the watermelon. Suddenly it fell on her face. It's not good. Give me a new one. Murangshu tightly clenched her fist. The anger in her heart has reached the breaking point. Liu Yuxi wore a look of disdain. You're not convinced either. In order not to implicate the sect, Murangshu had no choice but to swallow her pride again. At this moment, Murong Gong was walking toward them. Murangshu thought Chen Pingyan would intervene. Murangong shook his head. She said that her senior has other plans. Murangshu showed a trace of disappointment. At that moment, the ground suddenly shook violently. Li Yuxi thought it was a treasure about to emerge. Sighed as she ran over. Suddenly a black object shot out from the ground. Li Yuxi had no time to react. My clothes were pierced and my cheek was scratched by this thing. When Zhang Shafeng saw clearly what it was, he involuntarily gasped. It was a huge black Jiao dragon. Ignoring Li Yuxi's safety, the bald bodyguard actually ran away. Long Outing suddenly appeared here. I'm here. You won't get away with murder. Li Yuxi found a lifeline. She immediately revealed her identity, hoping Long Outing would take her away. Long Outing remained indifferent and ignored her. He knew all about the mess she made in Fanshan. He knew perfectly well what she had done. The reason he appeared here was to capture this great Ascension stage demonic beast. Let's test the strength after the breakthrough. But who would have known that this Black Flood dragon, who seemed mighty and powerful, is actually a fake? Brother Zhao, did I kill anyone? And when did I say I wanted to kill anyone? Brother, I believe in Buddha, okay? Upon hearing this, Long Aoshan was left utterly confused. The Black Flood dragon said he was just out here to get some sun. He also said he once killed an immortal beast. If a fight breaks out, who knows who will win or lose? Long Aoshan was stunned again. Is this still a demon beast? What's with this feeling of the Vice Elder being sneaky? He didn't know how to make a move for a moment. Suddenly Lu Yuxi tugged at his sleeve, urging him to quickly kill this Jialong. Long Aoshan certainly knew what this little villainess was thinking. He forcefully shook off her hand with a cold sneer. You want to use me as a knife? What a fine empire you. Seeing your actions, your father is no better. Are you going to continue seeking your own death? That existence can take back everything you currently have. Better think carefully. But Li Yuxi didn't take it seriously at all. She even threatened that one day, she would make him and the Black Dragon kneel at her feet. Suddenly the Black Dragon leaned in close to her. Just now, you seem to be speaking ill of me. Two red lights flashed. Li Yuxi was directly swallowed alive, soon after Long Aoshan left this place. He had already developed a killing intent towards the Kainyu Empire. This man in black robes is his subordinate. He ordered the full force of Chanzin Tower to be mobilized, to completely suppress the Kainyu Empire, swearing to send the Kainyu Empire back to the pre-liberation days overnight. That night the entire Kainyu Empire was set on fire. The entire imperial family was slaughtered. Soon Long Aoshan told Chen Pingyan about this. He thought Chen Pingyan would punish him. But to his surprise, Chen Pingyan said it was a good suppression, a brilliant suppression, a suppression that was incredibly effective. This left Long Aoshan even more confused. Chen Pingyan suddenly asked him, "You're so powerful. Why dress oneself as a senior?" Long Aoshan secretly speculated that the senior was testing him, and allowing the Kainyu Empire to exist was the test prepared for him. So he cupped his hands and said, "Since the senior wants me to speak, it's naturally because the senior is ridiculously powerful." The system could sense a strong smell of flattery, but Chen Pingyan was very pleased with this response. After a few words, Long Outing bid farewell and left. He thought to himself that the senior wasn't angry, further confirming that all this was a test for him. Note that he appears to be a domineering black dragon of the Mahayana stage, but in reality he's a cunning old dog. Just now, Chen Pingyan, after learning from Long Outing that he was very strong, let out a loud roar towards the air. Dog system come out. As soon as the system interface appeared, he started accusing and blaming. The system was quite arrogant. It told him to find someone to spar with. It even threatened that if he won, he'd eat shit while doing a handstand. Chen Ping was also furious. I still don't believe it. I absolutely have to see how you eat today. But who should I test and make him struggle? The Murong family is definitely out of the question. I'd feel like kneeling down when I see him, let alone fighting him. But should I go find Xiao Gaga? He's afraid that he really doesn't have the strength to withstand a beating from society. Lost in thought, he unintentionally looked outside and saw Xiao Linger, who was lying on a lounge chair, dreaming happily. His eyes suddenly brightened. Xiao Linger, help me with something. Before Xiao Linger, who looked confused, could speak, Chen Pingyan confidently smiled and said, "How about having a spar with me?" Hearing this, the system almost spat blood. I silently mourned for him for 3 seconds. However, the great masters in the courtyard thought that this master was too shameless. Chen Pingyan, to show fairness, let Little Sprite use a bamboo pole as a weapon. Little Sprite agreed, but still asked him if he really wanted to fight. Chen Pingyan, filled with excitement, declared he would definitely fight. He even took off his magic artifact robe, afraid of getting his own clothes dirty. Little did he know, Ling would soon teach him a lesson in life. Just as Chen Pingyan opened his mouth to say start, a stick was swung at him. He couldn't react in time. With a loud thud, his face was sharply slapped. He fell hard to the ground. Xiao worriedly asked if he was alright. He stubbornly insisted he wasn't ready, but he was inwardly shocked. He truly didn't expect Xiao to be so strong. Could he really be so weak, weaker even than a little girl? This time he was ready, but he still couldn't dodge a simple basic attack. What follows is a completely humiliating scene. He sighs only after being beaten beyond recognition. Who said I'm strong? I'll take it out on whoever said that. At this moment, the system deliberately mocks him. It gets him so angry he yells out, "Shut up. I just want some peace and quiet." Then he starts trying to comfort himself. Judging by Suya's expression, little Linger is probably the child of a cultivation family. It's normal for her to be stronger than ordinary children. Little Linger looks like a child who has done something wrong. "Brother, are you really alright?" Chen Ping'an in his imagination suddenly yelled. "Could it be that I'm a bug?" He remembered the book saying. So he thought that although he was weak, because of this bug, they sensed a powerful aura from him. Which is why they called him Senior. Figuring this out, his eyes suddenly lit up. From now on, won't I be able to bully others under the guise of power? Late at night, the Buddhist-like Black Flood Dragon sleeps soundly. Chen Ping'an is also dreaming going on a date with Duan Xingxin. Meanwhile, Lord Dao sits by the fish pond and asks, "Little Goldfish, isn't there a trace of your dragon clan's aura on that Black Flood Dragon today?" Little Goldfish guesses that the guy probably ate a dead dragon of quite a good grade. It's just not fully absorbed yet. If I could stay by his side, there would be a chance to fully absorb it. The dragon essence evolves into a true dragon clan. The local chicken suggests bringing him back. It would be perfect to train another Arand runner. This constructive suggestion is quickly agreed upon by all the big shots. Arand no. One little trash poked its head out and showed strong agreement. At this moment, the little goldfish spat out the essence of the dragon. It handed it to her and no. 1. Telling him to force the Black Flood Dragon to eat it and bring it back after transforming. When little trash arrived, the Buddhist-like monster had buried itself in a pile of dirt. The Black Flood Dragon, knowing it couldn't escape, immediately poked its head out. Carefully asked, "Boss, is there something you need from me?" Hearing the word boss, little trash felt a mix of emotions, a bit sore. Seeing the boss's silly smile, Haijio thought he might have said something wrong. Little trash, enjoying the moment, intentionally asked again, "What did you just call me?" Hajiao tilted his head in confusion and called out again, "Boss?" Saolaji loved this feeling too much. He simply couldn't get enough. He realized he was acting a little out of line. He immediately got down to business. "A group of big shots want to take you on as a gopher and a Rand boy. I've also prepared 2 thoughtful options for you. One is to agree. The other is to be beaten up by me before agreeing." Hajio's face darkened. This is clearly only one choice. "Don't you agree?" Saolaji finished speaking and pointed a finger. Spiritual energy suddenly exploded above Haijiao's head. The black dragon was so scared it immediately submitted and agreed. Then the little trash threw the dragon essence to it, and it ate it. The black dragon swallowed it in one gulp. He felt a very pure dragon energy filling his body. It also contained the secret art of transformation. Just as he was wondering if he could really transform, a loud woof rang out. A black dog resembling a husky appeared before him. The black dragon was terrified. "Damn it, why have I turned into a dog? It seems I underestimated that goldfish. He's actually the ancestor of the dragon clan." Just now, the little trash was laughing his guts out. Who would have thought that the domineering and ferocious black dragon would actually transform into a black dog? Yet he didn't dare utter a single complaint about this unrestrained laughter. The black Zhao didn't dare to harbor a single complaint, because the little trash is a Xianzan. He could only obediently follow him. As soon as the black Zhao entered, he was instantly stunned. Dao Lord surrounded by the great Dao, and a chicken surrounded by the great Dao. I didn't expect the whole courtyard to be filled with terrifying beings, all blessed with the power of the great Dao. The Black Flood Dragon was so scared that it knelt and trembled uncontrollably. Master Dao was very pleased with the performance of the little trash this time. After complimenting him, he looked at the Black Flood Dragon. "Get up. From now on in this courtyard, especially in front of our master, you must act like a pure simple street dog. Otherwise I can only put you down mercifully." "Understood." The Black Serpentine trembled and replied, "Understood." Master Dao gestured for him to head toward the pond and receive his fate. His dog-like nose barely touched the fish pond. Suddenly his soul shuddered. Then the dragon essence within him began to boil uncontrollably. The little goldfish said lazily, "Don't be nervous, Mutt. Even if the dragon ancestor came, it would be the same. You perform quite well." The black mosquito looked surprised. "Big boss, what kind of existence are you?" The little goldfish chuckles. In some places many people call brother Holy Dragon. Hearing the words Holy Dragon, the black Zhao almost pissed itself in fear. It is said that the Holy Dragon was born at the dawn of the world, growing alongside the heavens and all things. It coexists with infinite time. It is the true ancestor of the dragon race. The black Zhao was instantly drenched in cold sweat. For such an existence to willingly transform into a small goldfish, how terrifying must their master be? At this moment the peach tree suddenly swayed. Anta also came out to join the fun. She pointed with her finger and began transmitting a message. "Sao Linger, try to have the master take in this little black dog tomorrow." Exao Linger responded and went back to sleep. On the other side, an old man was shouting angrily at a man. This person is none other than Liu Zhengjiu, the emperor of the Kainu Empire. It turns out that Long Aoshan's top enforcer back then didn't kill him. This old man is his father Liu Gongpu. He was just questioning him about how his empire vanished overnight. Liu Zhengtao genuinely didn't know. At this moment Liu Yuxi returned. Unexpectedly, the Black Jiao didn't actually eat her back then. This woman actually praised herself for being smart and shrewd. Her princess complex is acting up again. Someone, bring me the finest tea. Liu Zhengtao finally couldn't take it anymore. What exactly have you done? Liu Yuxi made sweeping generalization. Instead he said Long Aoshan was arrogant. When, in a crazy and reckless manner, threatened that he would beat them into dogs. Liu Zhen's eyes narrowed. It's really trouble you caused. Upon hearing this, Liu Yuxi almost choked on the mung bean cake. Liu Zhen tightly clenched his fists. He turned to Liu Guangpu for guidance. Can I hit your obedient granddaughter? Liu Guangpu, however, said no. Liu Yuxi had just been moved and called out Grandpa. Then she heard her grandpa say 4 words. I'll help you. On the other side of the small courtyard, Ling was once again acting as the wake-up alarm. Chen Ping'an had just opened his eyes. He found that a local dog was following behind Linger. Damn. Xia Linger. Where did this street dog come from? Following Sister Tao's instructions, Xia Ling said the dog got lost and was found outside the door. Chen Ping'an was puzzled. How does she know this dog was lost? Xia Linger waved her hand, said so itself. Chen Ping'an patted her head and said, Stop joking. It must have come from somewhere nearby. Just leave it in the yard. When it gets tired of playing, it'll go back on its own. Chen Ping'an thought Xia Ling liked the stray dog a lot, but he didn't dare to adopt a dog with an unknown background. Xia Linger actually didn't like it at all. It's just a formality. He casually tossed it into the yard. The black serpent could only helplessly accept this fact. It sighed and walked to the edge of the pond. It obediently lay down. At this moment, Chen Ping'an stepped out and saw. He didn't expect that this mutt would still stick around here. He squatted down and asked, is he trying to find an opportunity to sneak a bite of the free-range chicken in the yard? The black flood dragon is on the verge of tears. If the free-range chicken doesn't eat him, he'll be offering high incense. Daring to eat the chicken means he's courting death. At this moment, a system prompt appeared. A new task has arrived. 10 days of meat. Establish a sect and crew 10,000 disciples. Chen Ping'an felt his head was about to explode. The system gave another warm reminder. The consequence of failing this mission was an annihilation. Chen Ping'an immediately relaxed. What was it? The system immediately displayed, the tools are half as short. This angered him so much that he grabbed the system panel. He slammed it on the ground and shouted, You're so... Just then, Mirongong's voice sounded from outside the door. After entering, Mirongong first said that the Cayenne Empire is now being suppressed terribly. Then he told him that the sect could begin recruiting disciples. Chen Ping'an didn't expect Long Aoshan to be so strong, simultaneously proving his visual bug is even stronger. Even Long Aoshan can be suppressed. When it comes to Long Aoshan, old Mirong has a smug look on his face. Even said that at the time a black serpent was so scared by Long Aoshan that it wet itself. As he was talking, he unintentionally noticed the black dog on the ground and immediately fell silent. Chen Ping'an, who had been listening intently, noticed the silence. He turned around and saw Mirongong pressed against the door, terrified, because he realized that this black dog is the Black Flood Dragon. He had just spoken ill of the Black Flood Dragon. He was afraid of retaliation, so he stayed so far away. Chen Ping'an mistakenly thought he was afraid of the dog. Mirongong steadied his mind and didn't explain. He thought that the Black Flood Dragon was most likely tamed by the senior. There was nothing to fear. Then Chen Ping'an said somewhat sheepishly, within 10 days, can we recruit 10,000 disciples? Mirongong has this intention, but he needs his help. But then I thought, if the senior goes in person, I'm afraid all the forces on the continent and cultivators will scramble to join. So he slyly pointed at the black dog. I need to borrow a few rooms from my senior. I guarantee I'll complete the task. Look closely, this is the legendary super fertilizer. It can instantly turn seeds into big watermelons. Just now, Chen Ping'an was curious why Mirong Palace wanted this black dog. He clearly looked very afraid of it earlier, and they said that a black flood dragon appeared nearby. Could this dog be the Black Flood Dragon? He remembered that the cultivation book mentioned that some demon beasts may seem normal, but in the past they were usually bloodthirsty and violent. Killing chickens was just a small matter. If it were to harm Xiao Linger, he really wouldn't have any way to stop it, so he decided to test it again. Gong Lao, what do you want this demon beast for? Mirongong said without hesitation, take it for show. This confirmed the suspicion in his mind. Chen Ping'an directly told him to take it away quickly. Mirongong picked up the black dog and promised to complete the task in 10 days. The Black Flood Dragon helplessly sent a message to the young master and the little goldfish. The little goldfish told him not to worry. Tell him he can sneak back tonight. Watch as Mirong Palace turns into a streak of light and leaves. Chen Ping'an was filled with mixed emotion. Actually, he also really wanted to show off in person. Maybe with the visual bug, He could create an impressive scene that would earn him the admiration of thousands. But he still worried it wouldn't work on everyone. He was afraid that instead of showing off, he'd end up getting slapped in the face. So now he can only rely on the Murong Palace. On the ping insect side, the man and his dog had just landed. Yao spoke coldly. Old man, do you know that taking me away has caused me to lose many opportunities? Murong Palace hurriedly explained. Don't be angry. I'm actually helping you. This is the senior's sect. Helping me means helping the senior. When the time comes, I will say a few good words in front of the senior. Then you won't be driven away. The Black Flood Dragon showed a look of realization. It immediately knelt and bowed to Murong Gong. In order to build a good relationship, Hajiang offered a treasured protective formation for the sect. It can withstand attacks from peak stage Great Ascension cultivators. He also generously gave a large amount of resources to the Murong Palace. He then revealed his true form, hovering above the entire sect. The Murong Palace was extremely satisfied with this display. Next, the Ping sect will begin recruiting disciples. And the scene that just unfolded at the Ping sect, Long Outing saw everything. A Mahayana peak level protective formation. A Mahayana level Jiao dragon guarding the mountain. This made him imagine it was a boon bestowed upon Ping sect by Chen Ping'an. But he immediately denied it. He thought, how could a senior's thoughts be so simple? He was suddenly startled. Could this be a god-level test for the three parties? The first is the Koinu Empire. You must have known long ago that they would become arrogant and overbearing. Although they were given a chance, they did not repent. The second is me. It depends on whether I will actively suppress the Koinu Empire. If I hadn't suppressed them back then, my test would have definitely failed. The third is the Mountain Sect. Obviously they must have passed the test. Before being given such a great opportunity, he couldn't help but sigh. Everything flows smoothly without any trace of intervention, yet is all under control. Senior, you're truly terrifying. Someone, go prepare an extravagant gift for me. The chief enforcer immediately appeared. I'm not sure what level of gift the host requires. Long Aoshan simply said a casually impressive line. When the top power of the continent is born, the kind of grand gift it requires. Meanwhile, the system showed the established Ping sect task is completed. You have earned a chance to draw a lottery. Chen Ping'an didn't expect Murong Gong to be so efficient. He decided to properly treat him next time. He immediately began the lottery draw. Soon the prize appeared slightly. Then it landed with a thud on Chen Ping'an's stomach. Chen Ping'an looked at the giveaway with curiosity. It was a bag of super fertilizer. It was exactly what he needed, because he had wanted to plant something in the yard for a long time. He then took Xiaoling to the town to buy watermelon seeds. While buying the seeds, someone was secretly watching Chen Ping'an. Soon Chen Ping'an and Xiaoling were busy in the yard. After applying the fertilizer, both of them felt a great sense of accomplishment. It's just that this peasant outfit gives him a feeling that he's drifting further away from the path of a village man in the wilderness. At this moment, Linger excitedly pointed at the field. Brother, look quickly. Chen Ping'an's face was filled with shock. In the blink of an eye, the seeds had actually sprouted. Chen Ping'an didn't expect the system to finally give him something good this time. Several big shots were actually labeled as junk and waste by their own master. This left them speechless. This is the kind of watermelon grown with technology and ruthlessness. Just one bite allowed for consecutive breakthroughs in cultivation. Just now, Xialinger couldn't resist the temptation of the watermelon any longer. She looked at the remaining fertilizer beside her. A bold idea began to form in her mind. So she began to lavish it in the field handful by handful. A thick layer of super fertilizer covered the entire field. In the blink of an eye, the vines grew rapidly. Large watermelons appeared one after another. Hearing a rustling sound, Chen Ping'an asked, "What is that sound?" Xialinger shuddered in fright. She nervously pointed to the field. Brother, look, the watermelons suddenly grew. Chen Ping'an was completely dumbfounded. Could this be the legendary technology and ruthlessness? But Xialinger's guilty expression made him guess something. He only then discovered that more than half of the fertilizer was missing. Xialinger, without a change in her expression, explained that it might have been blown away by the wind. Chen Ping'an felt embarrassed. He hadn't expected this girl to be so obsessed with watermelon. And everything that had just happened was seen by someone else. After the watermelon was cut, Chen Ping'an felt slightly worried. They're so artificially ripened. I wonder if they're even edible. Just as he was about to try one himself, Xialing had already eaten 8 pieces. She said they were super sweet and urged him to eat some. He sighed. Eat slower, no one's gonna take them from you. But Xialing even faster. Maybe my brother will give some to the person outside later. He turned his head to look outside. Could there really be someone outside? He pushed open the door with a piece of watermelon. Sure enough, there was a child standing outside. The child broke into a cold sweat upon seeing him. In his view, Chen Ping'an, along with the watermelon in his hand, all was permeated with endless Taoist principles and rhythms. Hearing Chen Ping'an ask him what was wrong, he was so scared he almost fainted. Chen Ping'an asked again, "Little friend, are you a cultivator?" But the little friend still didn't make a sound. He knew it was his own. The visual glitch scared the person. But why wouldn't they speak? It even made him think the child was mute. He had no choice but to give him the watermelon. He told him to hurry home so the adults wouldn't worry. The child nodded stiffly. When the door closed, the child let out a long sigh of relief. You scared me to death. Suddenly, Chen Pingyan opened the door again. So you can speak. Are there no normal cultivators in this world? After saying that, he closed the door again. The kid grabbed the watermelon and ran off at full speed. It was the first time he was so scared he couldn't even speak. So this kid is Chen, the person who was following Pingyan when he bought the seeds. He thought Chen Pingyan had already noticed him. Fortunately, not only did he not blame him, but instead gave him a watermelon. The little boy happily took a bite. The moment it entered his mouth, he was startled. He discovered that he had unexpectedly broken through to a higher realm. He went straight from the first level of Bigu to the 5th level of Jiden. He didn't expect that the senior would casually bestow such a great opportunity upon him. Recalling the rise of nearby sects, it is very likely related to this senior. He took out the communicator. Grandfather, that sect might not be as simple as it seems. Remember, prepare an extraordinary gift? In the courtyard, Chen Ping was thinking about how he should close the door more securely in the future. If this black technology gets out, it'll cause no small amount of trouble. Suddenly he stopped. Why did Salinger know someone was outside? Just then Salinger walked over. He asked, Salinger, tell me the truth. Do you have cultivation? These words having been spoken, Salinger broke out in a cold sweat. Coupled with Chen Pingyan's irresistible gaze, Salinger decided to come clean. That's right, I do indeed have cultivation. And Chen Pingyan was struck like a bolt from the blue. Salinger hurriedly explained that she is very weak, very weak. She is completely not comparable to others. Chen Pingyan asked tentatively, what realm are you in now? Salinger was about to say that she is an immortal monarch, but suddenly saw Sister Tao holding up a Kai refining stage plate behind her. She immediately corrected herself and said that she is in the Kai refining stage. Chen Pingyan noticed something was off and turned around to take a look. There was nothing behind the peach tree. She continued to ask, since when did you start cultivating? At this moment, Sister Tao raised the 3 words from earlier. Salinger answered as instructed. Chen Pingyan suddenly turned his head. He still found no clues. However, he had begun to suspect, because every time Salinger spoke, she would look in that direction. What puzzled him was, who else could be in this yard? To get to the bottom of it, he picked up the watermelon and threatened Salinger that if she didn't tell the truth, he wouldn't let her have watermelon anymore. In her panic, Salinger pointed at the peach tree. It was Peach Tree's sister who taught me. Chen Pingyan froze. Sister Peach Tree. He remembered what the cultivation book said. In this world, all things living long enough, or encountering fortuitous circumstances, can gain sentience and become spirits. Even speak. Although the sapling was a system gift, he'd watched it grow for 5 years and hadn't noticed anything different. Suddenly he had a flash of inspiration. Could it be like that fertilizer? The seeds given by the system are also different. Peach sister is now so panicked she's speechless. She sold her for a watermelon. This little Linger is such a sly fox. At this time, the system suddenly popped up to warn her. Peach tree, find a way to solve it. If it's exposed, you know the consequences. With no other choice, Sister Peach flicked her finger. A burst of spiritual energy instantly entered Little Linger's forehead. Little Linger immediately felt uncomfortable all over. Brother, my head suddenly feels dizzy. Actually, it's not just Sister Peach Tree talking to me. Even the clouds in the sky. And that watermelon is waving at me. Chen Ping was immediately startled. He quickly touched her forehead. Only then did he realize that Xiao Linger had a fever. He then glanced at the watermelon. Could it be the side effects of that fertilizer? He sighed. It turns out he was talking nonsense because of the fever. What was I even analyzing? I held Xiao Linger and walked toward the house. In the deep mountains, Long Aoshan was meditating and cultivating. Suddenly a dangerous aura rapidly approached. With a loud bang, the spot he was sitting in exploded. Long Aoshan snorted coldly. You old bastard. You dare to show off your paltry skills here? Yuldir. I heard you've advanced to the Earth Immortal realm. Don't you think I deserve a greeting? The one who launched a sneak attack was Bagafeng, Long Aochan's good friend. Long Aochan was very unhappy. You call that a greeting? Actually, Gufeng was incredibly shocked inside. That strike just now was from a 300,000 Linyu magic weapon, and it was combined with a 500,000 Linyu movement technique. Looks like Xiao Chun didn't lie to me. This old immortal must have obtained an opportunity from that senior. That's how he broke through to Earth Immortal. So it turns out the one secretly following Chen Pingyan was Baixio Chun, the grandson of the famous Feng. After learning that his old buddy had broken through, go investigate Chen Pingyan in secret to see if he is the terrifying existence rumored. Then look at Long Aoshan's arrogant demeanor. It has been confirmed without a doubt that it's Feng, but Long Aoshan has been flaunting his cultivation level. This makes Bai Gufeng, who is only at the peak of the Mahayana, very angry. If you can't choose your words, don't force it. If you're so capable, stop mentioning the peak of the Mahayana. You're not as handsome as me. You're talking nonsense. These two are really a pair of old funny fellows. Old Murong really hit the jackpot today. Not only did he get the great watermelon, he also got the precious dragon and phoenix bringing harmony. He also acquired an extraordinary spiritual vein. Just now Linga was, Sister Tao created the illusion of a fever. Of course, Chen Pingyan didn't know the truth. Although he suspected it was the watermelon, he himself ate it and felt no discomfort. So, he suspected it might have something to do with Xiao Linger being a cultivator. At that moment, the voice of Murong sounded from outside the door. As he entered, his gaze froze. The large watermelon in the courtyard greatly shocked him, because the watermelon contains vast amounts of spiritual energy, which is tens of thousands of times stronger than the most powerful elixirs he has ever seen. Seeing his surprised expression, Chen Pingyan curiously asked, Old Gong seems to be very interested in these watermelons. After asking this question, he suddenly remembered something he had read in a book, that cultivators cannot refine excessive spiritual energy. Then symptoms of a fever will appear. Before Gong Murong could speak, he continued to tentatively ask, Elder Gong, do you think these watermelons are spirit medicines? Gong Murong thought he was being tested again, so he said they weren't spirit medicines, because those were clearly immortal medicines. He dared not say the wrong thing. Chen Pingyan immediately sighed in relief. He thought that Xiaoling's fever was caused by overeating and an upset stomach. Murong came this time to welcome guests today. He wanted to ask if Chen Pingyan would go to the event. Since Xiaoling was still running a fever, Chen Pingyan had no choice but to politely decline. Murong awkwardly agreed on the surface. In true, I feel quite grateful. Senior, your excuses are so refreshingly unique. How could Xiaolinger, with such cultivation, possibly fall ill? Just as he was about to leave, he saw Chen Pingyan picking watermelons. Take these 2 watermelons, but don't let Xiaolinger eat them anymore. Share them with everyone at the ceremony instead. Murong suppressed his restless heart and took the watermelon. How could he share such an opportunity with so many people? After bidding farewell to Chen Pingyan, he quickly returned to Pingyan sect. The sect was bustling with activity and excitement. Murangshu thought Chen Pingyan would come. Murong shook his head and said, the senior has other arrangements. He is not convenient to appear today. Murangshu was a little disappointed, but her good friend's arrival immediately improved her mood. The celebration was just announced by Murong Palace. The emperor of the Honggu Empire immediately came to cultivate relations. Before he could even say a word, he was pushed away by the supreme emperor of the Zhengshan Empire. He wanted to ask Murong Palace for a private word. Shortly after, he was surrounded by a group of powerful figures. Someone in the distance showed great disdain for this. That old man is only at the divine transformation stage. There are no powerful figures within the palace. Apart from the formation and that flood dragon, it's almost useless. Is this what you meant by encountering an immortal's help? The one speaking so arrogantly is Fengye, the young master of the Hellfire sect. Little Gagaga quickly explained, saying he didn't deceive him. And this little Gaga is one of the people who chased after Murangshu in the first episode. However, at that time, due to Chen Pingyan's appearance, they fled in panic. They came this time to destroy the Pingyan sect and capture Murangshu to use as a furnace vessel. Murangshu, who was chatting with her close friend, was instinctively drawn to look back due to her natural sixth sense. She saw the one-eyed man in front of her, mumbling himself like a fool. Fengye suddenly changed his expression drastically. He sensed several powerful presences approaching. The visitors were none other than Zhen Danting, the headmaster of the Shushan Academy, Bei Gifeng, the leader of the Jubatong, and Long Aoshan, the leader of the Tianzin Tower. He immediately made a constipated expression. The big shots of 3 top-tier forces. How could they have personally come to visit? Murong quickly stepped forward to greet them respectfully. Since Long Aoshan was quite familiar, he didn't introduce himself. Zhen Danting politely introduced himself. When it was Zigu Feng's turn to introduce himself, Long Aoshan forcefully interrupted. Just call him a tagalong. This made Zigu Feng so angry that he puffed out his cheeks and glared. Murong dared not call him that. He could only invite them inside to take a seat. At this point, Zhen Danting started presenting gifts. Brother Gong, please accept this before you go in. As the wooden box opened, a painting floated into the air. This painting is called Dragon and Phoenix Auspicious. Long contemplation will lead to enlightenment and improved cultivation. Murong was greatly shocked. He didn't expect this elder brother to actually give him the treasured academy item of the Shushan Immortal Academy. Then Zifeng took out a wooden box. As the box opened, a rich spiritual energy poured out. He actually presented a superior spirit vein. Long Aoshan's disdainful voice suddenly rang out. Spirit veins are divided into 5 grades: inferior, medium, superior, top grade, and ultimate. A superior one, you dare to call this a gift? Having said that, he took out a low-key yet luxurious box. Upon opening it, inside was a top-grade spirit vein. Once again, the always dominant Zigu Feng claimed that he had a second gift. It was this one-time discount purple gold card. Seeing that he was about to be outdone by his good buddy again, Long Aoshan's face darkened. My heavenly Lord Tower is always ready to serve you, Senior. Could it be that Senior still dares to charge money when shopping? Naturally, Zigu Feng would never back down. Grab Baxion and shout loudly. I'll send my grandson out again. Immediately join the Ping sect. The two good buddies couldn't back down from each other for a moment. You old bastard. You clearly already plan to have Sayachin join. Stop pretending. You'll fool. If you're so capable, why don't you deliver it yourself? You old man always the same. This moment makes Jin Danteng feel really awkward. This little boy is the top-tier immortal artifact, the Golden Feather Immortal Sword. When he gets serious, he can easily beat 10 Dragonotines. Just now, Feng Yi finally realized the terrifying existence behind the Ping sect, but Xiao Gaga suddenly asked him if he still wanted to capture Murong Su. Though the voice was low, Murong Su still heard it. Just as Feng Yi told him to shut up quickly, Murong Su pointed at the worker. Grandpa, there are two troublemakers here. As soon as she finished speaking, the three top figures' eyes instantly turned red with killing intent. Long Aoshin put his hand on his shoulder. Little thing, by the looks of you, you're from the Hellfire sect, right? You don't know that this is our little brother's sect. You dare cause trouble here? You don't take my heavenly lord seriously. Begafing snorted coldly. Hellfire sect. Not much money, but you've got quite a bit of guts. It seems you don't take my jubating seriously. Zin Danting directly suggested eliminating it. Feng Yi panicked and quickly tried to explain. Three elders, it's all a misunderstanding. Little brother, I'm actually just here as a guest. Murongong, however, smiled and helped smooth things over. But the next second, the tone suddenly changed. You did bring a gift, right? It's okay. We're not picky. Even if the quality is bad, we can make up for it with quantity. That's it. Feng Yi's entire fortune was looted. Unexpectedly, all four old men were cunning foxes. Of course, Feng Yi wouldn't let it go like this. He planned to destroy Ping sect after the three big shots, Long Aoshin and the others, left. Ochayan seemed to know what he was thinking. He hooked his arm around old man Murong's shoulder and deliberately said, Old brother, Longji, I live on the nearby mountain. Come visit anytime. Just then, the black dragon in the sky let out a pained roar. Then it transformed back into a black dog. Murongong noticed Haijiao limping over. He hurriedly asked, Brother, what's wrong with you? It turned out that the black mosquito was shot down. Murongong looked up. A man with a powerful aura was hovering in the air above. He involuntarily exclaimed two words. This person comes from the immortal realm and is named Chen Yaming. As soon as he descended to the mortal realm, he sensed the dragon essence within the black Jiaolong. Suddenly his expression changed. Listen to your ants below. If you don't want the formation destroyed and your sect wiped out, hand over the black Jiaolong obediently. At the same time, a powerful pressure instantly descended. Murongong could only explain with a stiff face. This dragon belongs to a certain entity. We have no authority in this matter. Chen Yaming won't buy it at all. It's just a mere ant. I'll give you 3 more seconds to rephrase. When he counted to 2, Murongong was terrified to the extreme. Suddenly the sound of small trash was heard. Let me see you try. Chen Yaming turned his head, his face showing a look of surprise. A golden feathered immortal artifact. How did you get here? Do I need to report my whereabouts to an ant like you? This place is under my protection. A mere piece of trash at the immortal spirit realm dares to shout here? Chen Yaming's heart was pounding. I don't know why such a powerful immortal artifact would protect this mortal sect. Besides, the golden feather immortal artifact's strength is at the immortal venerable level. Crushing him would be like crushing an ant. Thinking this, he didn't hesitate and ran away. But he'd underestimated this young boy. With a flash, he appeared before him. Did I say you could go? Before he could finish, a kick landed on his head. With a loud bang, he was blown into the ground. Cao Jinling landed and said calmly, Come back to the sect and kneel to apologize. Chen Yaming still had the audacity to make me apologize to a bunch of ants? Unless... Before he could finish, another loud bang echoed. Then Chen Yaming became like this. Kneeling on the ground, Chen apologized. Cao Jinling gave all the treasures she had collected to Murongong. Then she looked at Chen Yaming and coldly said, Get lost. I will protect this sect. Do you understand? Chen Yaming nodded repeatedly. Right, Lord Jin. After saying that, he transformed into a streak of light and shot towards the sky. But before leaving, he left behind a harsh warning. I will definitely be back. Seeing everyone's frightened expressions, Murongong lightly coughed twice. You've all more or less seen the state of my sect. Now we will officially begin accepting disciples. It will last for 3 days, with a limit of 10,000. 3 days. The system shows that the task of recruiting 10,000 disciples is complete. Chen Ping was overjoyed. He didn't expect Elder Gong to be so efficient. At this moment, a new message appeared on the system interface. Congratulations, host, you have completed 900 tasks. The system will upgrade to ultimate mode. At that time, rewards will change. Depending on the direction the master chooses, he can obtain simple items or cultivation resources. Chen Ping's heart trembled violently. Because he could finally become stronger. When the system upgrade progress bar reached 99%, it got stuck. This made Chen Ping, who was already impatient, unable to bear it any longer. What strange resources are you downloading? How much longer is this upgrade going to take? When he was in a bad mood, Exiling was preparing to steal a melon. Chen Ping suddenly turned his head and sharply said, "Stand up straight. Haven't you learned your lesson from the fever a few days ago?" Exiling quickly explained that it really had nothing to do with the melon. At that moment, the upgrade completion notification sounded. Chen Ping eagerly clicked to take a look. It turned out that the system interface had only changed to a golden yellow. Just as Chen Ping was about to lose his temper, the system returned to the main topic. The system has been upgraded to the ultimate mode. The host will choose the future development direction. It is the task trigger mode. The host needs to wait for a task to be triggered. After completing the task, some items will be randomly drawn. Levels, and secondly, the invincible in the world strategy mode. The system will automatically select 100 levels worldwide. The host completes the task through teleportation. After completion, the host will truly become invincible. Just as Chen Ping hesitated about which mode to choose, the system gave a considerate reminder. The second mode will give the host initial cultivation. Given the host lacks spiritual roots and cannot automatically improve, the spiritual energy bar will remain full. Each time a level is cleared, cultivation will increase. After reading the prompt, he decisively chose the strategy mode. At the same time, the system granted him the initial foundation building cultivation. He was overwhelmed with tears. Finally, I have cultivation. 5 years? Do you know how I've spent these 5 years? After stabilizing my emotion, I felt a flow of energy within me that I could control. This is what cultivators call spiritual energy. Excited, I concentrated the spiritual energy at my fingertips and shot it towards the wall across from me. Though it only broke the surface, it made me feel incredibly powerful. Linger secretly complained upon seeing this. This is way too weak. Never would I have imagined that the boss lady is actually Chen Ping's system. Just now, Chen Ping, who had reached the first stage of foundation establishment, flew up and had little Linger spar with him using a bamboo stick. Little Linger was also quite willing. After all, she hadn't had any watermelon for the past few days, so this time he used a full force strike. Chen Ping couldn't help but feel a moment of panic inside. The moment the bamboo pole fell, a powerful surge of energy swept out. However, Chen Ping was completely unharmed. This made Chen Ping even more convinced that he was really amazing. The truth was, he hadn't taken off his clothes this time. Seeing his master's exaggerated expression of fear, the earth chicken sighed helplessly. When will the master regain his strength? Ahawa, seeing him like this is really awkward. Sister Tao suddenly chimed in. After so many reincarnations, I think this master is a bit. I'm afraid even when he regains his strength, he won't be as handsome as before. Old man also felt helpless. We have no right to interfere with the master's choice. But when it comes to how invincible the master used to be, I still remember clearly. The memories start to unfold. I remember one time Chen Ping was drinking tea in the small courtyard. Suddenly the tea wobbled slightly. Someone had interrupted his enjoyment. In an instant, a group of big shots who could destroy all worlds with a wave of their hand appeared. Chen Ping simply said indifferently, "Come at me all at once. I don't want to waste my time." In a breath, everyone was instantly killed. He calmly continued drinking his goji berry tea, but his current cultivation, only at the first level of Jindan, was enough to excite him beyond measure. The system suddenly prompted, "The first checkpoint is ready. Should we enter?" Just as he was about to enter, Murong Gong returned the Black Flood Dragon. Chen Ping was confused. "Old Gong? Didn't I say there was no need to bring it back?" Murong Gong stayed true to his original intention and spoke up for the Black Mosquito. Chen Ping was taken aback. "Is it strong? It won't bite, right?" Murong Gong gave a thumbs up. "It's incredibly strong. And don't worry, senior. It follows a vegetarian diet and believes in Buddhism, so it will never harm anyone recklessly." Chen Ping looked at the Black Flood Dragon with half belief. Is what Elder Gong said true? The Black Flood Dragon immediately nodded. Chen Ping immediately gave the command to sit. The Black Flood Dragon immediately complied. He then made a hand gesture. The Black Flood Dragon immediately understood and stretched out a claw. Chen Ping instantly became a dog lover. Such a good boy. "From now on, I'll call you Little Black. Stay on my side." Chen Ping suddenly spoke, asking Murong Gong for some 3rd or 4th grade healing pills. Murong Gong was confused. He quietly analyzed it. Why would the senior want these useless things? Moreover, he had restrained his Tao rhythm, showing only his core formation cultivation. "So do you have a new plan?" Then he took off his storage ring. "Senior, there are quite a few 3rd and 4th grade healing pills inside. I've even higher grade ones. If you need them, I'll go back to the sect and get them." Chen Ping felt very grateful. Actually, he never felt that Ping sect was his. When he becomes truly strong, he plans to repay Murong Gong and the others well. To express his gratitude again, Chen Ping prepared to give Murong Gong 2 big watermelons. This made Xiao Linger feel a pang of pain. Murong, the old man, upon receiving the watermelons, started imagining. It seems the senior has granted us an opportunity, but is struggling to find a reason. That's why he brought up the borrowed elixir. You're truly a good person, senior. However, Chen Pingin's true thoughts were, 2 watermelons can be exchanged for so many elixirs. I suspect Elder Gong only reluctantly accepted them because he was afraid I would be too polite. Elder Gong is truly a good person. Now I have the elixirs, and my battle pet, Little Black, is here. All he needed was a decent weapon. But he thought carrying a kitchen knife wouldn't look prestigious enough. It would seem too tacky. As soon as he entered the room, he happened to see Xiao Jinling. Without hesitation, he chose it. Although Chen Pingin felt that Xiao Jinling seemed sharper than before, it didn't seem very impressive to hold it without a scabbard. Xiao Jinling immediately understood and emitted a dazzling special effect. A low-key, luxurious, and profound sword sheath instantly appeared. Chen Pingin praised it. You can even play like this. As expected of a high-tier magical weapon, he fastened the little golden feather to his waist. Now everything is set. The adventure journey is finally about to begin. However, the system suddenly appeared before the Black Flood Dragon's eyes. I have concealed your strength. Don't appear too powerful in front of him. Just exert your power in secret. Little Golden Feather felt the terrifying pressure. He thought, could this be the matriarchs that the big shots were referring to back in the central region? He was right in his guess. This Madame Dawn is our matriarch? She is also Chen Pingin's system. She's Chen Pingin's wife. Everything she's doing is just acting alongside him as he reincarnates. But it won't be long. She'll be able to go find her invincible husband. The teleportation location is the central continent. Having stayed in the countryside for 5 years, Chen Pingin was incredibly excited entering the city like a country bumpkin. Then the system panel popped up. In this kingdom, your name is Long Outing. Mission: let everyone know of your existence. Reward: complete the mission to advance to a higher realm. Chen Pingin doesn't know why he's using the great name Long Oution. He plans to try a visual bug, so he asked a young man nearby. This brother. Do you think there's something different about me? The young man was confused by the question. He responded with 3 words. You're sick. Chen Pingin felt incredibly awkward. It seems the bug aura has worn off. There's no way to cheat. Suddenly someone patted him on the shoulder. This brother is quite different. My name is Wang Gil. I see you have extraordinary bone structure. You are once in 10,000 years training material. You are destined for greatness. Before he could finish speaking, Chen Pingin interrupted him. No money. Not buying manuals, not buying videos. Wang Dagi quickly explained that his package wasn't for selling things. It was actually to find him a team for the upcoming competition. This piqued Chen Pingin's interest. It turns out that their martial kingdom values martial prowess. They were about to hold a competition to celebrate the prince's birthday. 5 people per team for the martial arts competition. Wang Dagi already has 3 people. He saw that Chen Pingin has achieved the golden core stage of cultivation. He's also under 30 years old, so he wanted to ask if he was interested. Although this is a fantastic opportunity for publicity, it's better to be cautious. Therefore, Chen Pingin politely declined, saying he needed to consider it further. Wang Dagyu had no choice but to let him consider it carefully, and then come to this tea house to find them. Watching Chen Pingin's receding figure, Wang Dagyu seems he refused. The woman sitting inside said indifferently, it doesn't matter. We'll just find someone else. Never would I have thought that Xiang Dai and Xiang Er also travel to the immortal cultivation world. And they're at the nascent soul stage of cultivation. Just now a stall caught Chen Pingin's attention. He had just gotten closer when he heard someone shouting that the stall owner was a scammer. The stall owner is called Lu Shuai. With a calm expression, he explained that his business was purely based on luck. Then he pulled out a token from his pocket. The token clearly says 3rd grade formation master. As soon as the little guys saw it, they immediately backed off. Even though Liu Shuai was stronger, he didn't dare to provoke him. Seeing that Chen Pingin seemed quite interested, Liu Shuai asked if he wanted to give it a try. Then he explained the rules to him. One was the defensive shield for the core formation stage. The other was for the nascent soul stage. Choose one to break and you can win 10 times the bet. Chen Pingin didn't expect it to be so simple. It's just right for making some pocket money. But he didn't have any spirit stones on him. So he took out a 3rd grade healing pill and asked how many times he could play. Li Shuai did the math. He made an exception and gave him 13 chances. Seeing that Chen Pingin agreed, Li Shuai secretly rejoiced. He could scam another rich and foolish mark. Because no matter which piece he chose, he could instantly transform it into a perfect Harmony Realm defense. When Chen Pingin drew out the small golden feather, Li Shuai was suddenly startled. The aura emanating from this sword felt somewhat familiar to him. It turned out that he was also present the day the small golden feather broke the immortal confining array. So he wondered if it could be that magical artifact. But seeing that Chen Pingin only had the cultivation of the core formation stage, he quickly dismissed the thought in his mind. Then he showed a sly grin. He secretly switched both of the light shields to their highest level. In the next moment, the light shields unexpectedly shattered. Li Shuai's pupils suddenly widened. This magical artifact. Chen Pingin also had a dazed expression, because he had only struck casually, not only breaking the light shield but also shattering the array below. What he didn't know was, This was the method of cheating. He even thought he had broken something and would have to pay for it. Meanwhile, Liu Shuai was in a complete panic. If he knew what I was doing, he'd probably kill me. He nervously said, "Consider it a complete victory for you." Then he gave Chen Ping'an 600 spirit stones. Chen Ping'an immediately relaxed. He was afraid the stall owner would make him pay. While Li Shuai was still shaken, he really wanted to cling to Chen Ping'an's coattails. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. He noticed someone following behind Chen Ping'an. This is a great opportunity. Chen Ping'an also noticed the little Gaga behind him, but he thought it was the stall owner coming to take revenge on him. Li Shuai suddenly patted him on the shoulder from behind. He wanted to team up with him. Seeing Chen Ping'an's worried expression, Li Shuai immediately explained that he was here to help him. Then he turned and threw out a harsh remark. "I'll protect him. Let's see who dares to make a move." Those ill-intentioned little brats were instantly shocked. They could only stop and watch the two leave. Li Shuai smiled and introduced himself. "My name is Shuye. I haven't yet asked for your honorable name, fellow Taoist. My name is Long Out." Hearing this, Liu Shuai was startled again. "Isn't that the name of the Lord of the Heavenly Tower? Could it be a coincidence?" "No, that's not it. Any cultivator would be too afraid to use this name. Could it be the powerful existence behind Long Aoshan?" With that thought, Liu Shuai couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Soon the two people and the dog arrived at the tea house, with Liu Shuai by his side. Chen Ping'an expressed his willingness to join their team. However, Pan Hang, a cultivator at the 5th level of the core formation stage, was very unhappy about Liu Shuai's arrival, but Li Shanshan welcomed his joining. This made Pan Hang even more displeased. He was originally the strongest cultivator in the team. He joined the team just to pursue Chen Shanshan. And now this Liu Shuai not only has higher cultivation than him, but he's also more handsome. With resentment in his heart, he looked at Xiao Hai and pointed at Chen Ping'an, deliberately asking, "Is this your dog? What did you bring it here for?" Chen Ping'an awkwardly explained that Xiao Hai was actually a demon beast. Pan Hang sneered and mocked. Terrifying phantom of a Jiao dragon appeared out of nowhere before him. That aura emanated from Xiao Hai. With asterisk thump asterisk, Pan Hang fell to his knees in fright, unable to look up. Smirk played on Liu Shuai's lips. He couldn't tell Xiao Hai's level, but knew it was definitely an extremely powerful demonic beast. Sai always stuck out its tongue triumphantly. It withdrew the aura directed at Pianang. Panang then reluctantly raised his head to look at Xiaobi again. He was puzzled. It was clearly just a common dog, but just a moment ago he had felt an extremely terrifying pressure. Chain Pin showed a vigilant expression. "Are you trying to scam me, or are you feeling unwell?" Pang was angered again. "What nonsense. I just slipped, that's all." At this moment, Qian Shanshan stepped in to smooth things over. She suggested that everyone go to the Monster Beast Mountain Range for some training and bonding. Soon they arrived at the Monster Beast Mountain Range, but what puzzled Chen Ping'an was that he hadn't seen a single monster along the way. Because his strength was the lowest, Xiaoshan instructed him to just assist if they encountered demonic beasts. Hearing this, Pan Hang jumped out again. He said they came out for training. There was no need to protect Chen Ping'an, this good for nothing. However, this aroused Tian Shanshan's displeasure. Chen Ping'an unintentionally attracted another wave of hatred. He's also very unhappy. He didn't know why this person kept targeting him. Meanwhile, Xiao Jinling is communicating with Xiao Hai. "Your dragon's might hasn't leaked, has it?" Sai looks guilty. "I don't know. Did you feel anything? Although my level is higher than yours, even the slightest trace would be undetectable. But it was only the slightest trace. They probably won't encounter any monsters on this trip. Simple. I'll send my clone to catch a few. Hard labor to let them practice on. Also, I think it's a good time to annoy that kid on the other side." Simon tells Xiangda. He senses a terrifying presence has arrived in the mountains. Xiangda doesn't care at all. He boasts that he is at the nascent soul stage. No existence is strong enough for him to fight. Suddenly, a voice came from behind him. It said, "What's there to be afraid of? Let's go out and deal with him." Xiangda instinctively responded, "Not bad." After reacting, he suddenly turned his head to look over. When he looked, his pupils dilated sharply.